Welcome to Beyond the Game, Cotulla Backroads and Ball Games. I'm your host, Sanchez. Here we don't just talk sports. We tell the stories behind the hustle, the heart, and the hometown heroes. From Pee-wee dreams to Friday night lights, from dusty back roads to championship runs, this is where the past meets the present and the game becomes a legacy. This is Beyond the Game, Cotulla Backroads and Ball Games. Welcome back to Beyond the Game, Cotulla Backroads and Ball Games, where the past meets the present and the game becomes a legacy. I'm your host, Sanchez, and today's episode is all about faith, grit, and family. We have a special group with us, not just one guest, but four. We have Aaliyah, Raeann, Oscar, and Jordan Charo. From state track meets to varsity basketball court takeovers, this family has built something special right here in Cotulla. Let's dive into their story and meet them. Hey, how are y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
All right, so if y'all would like to introduce yourself for the people that might not know you.
Okay, I'll start first.
I'll go first. Hello, everybody. My name is Oscar Charo. I'm 17 years old. I am now a freshman at the University of Oral Roberts. I'll be a freshman there. Just graduated from Cotulla High School, and I'm excited for the opportunity for my athletic career, my academic career for the next 4 years at Oral Roberts.
It's awesome.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Charo. I'm at the University of North Alabama, and I'll be a senior this year, graduating with my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing in December of 25.
There you go.
Hi everyone, I'm Raeann Charo, well known by everybody as Ray Flash. I graduated in 23. I am a junior now at Oral Roberts University, but I'm a sophomore on the track. And yeah.
Hello, I'm Jordan Charo. I'm 15. I'm an upcoming sophomore at THS, and I play varsity basketball.
Awesome. Here, see, I remember that soundboard. There you go. I got a little something. So I know y'all want to start with a prayer, so if we could please do that at this moment,
Okay,
that'd be great.
All right, if everybody watching could bow your heads with me. Okay.
Yes.
Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you that your word says in Psalm 118:24, this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of family and for allowing us to come together to share this moment. As we speak today, let our words reflect your love, your purpose, and your truth. May this episode be more than a conversation. Let it be a testimony of your faithfulness in our lives, both on and off the track and court. Let our bond as siblings glorify you and encourage every listener to keep you at the center of their own journeys. We declare in your word, Isaiah 40:31, but those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Let this not just be a podcast, but a platform for your light. We give you all the glory. In Jesus' mighty, powerful, matchless, powerful name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I like that. That's awesome. That's an awesome way to start.
Amen.
Appreciate you. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Well, I think got him right. All right. So let's get this started. I'm excited. And I was excited, especially the way y'all answered the questions. That had me ready. I couldn't wait. Probably more anticipated than y'all are. So, we'll start at the beginning. Kind of when you found your love for your sport, or when you just kind of were introduced to sports in general. It might have been, I think for some of y'all it was younger, some of y'all something clicked, a little later on, and you found like that drive. So, we'll start with Aaliyah. I heard you jumped into a run at your sister's cheer practice. Is that right? Okay,
That's right.
So what stuck with you, about that experience and that just made you kind of just fall in love with running?
So I always tell people that, like, when I was at her cheer practice, I clearly remember I was probably somewhere in the stands with my mom just watching Ray there, because they have, where the cheerleaders stand, like on, Friday Night Lights. And so they were just there doing their like practice, and then I had seen like the stampede, go by, And so it was just like the high school like cross country team, and I'm sure like they were part of like the long distance part of track. But I had seen them out there with Coach Eloy Sartuche. And so I was assuming that he was working with these athletes. And so I just remember, asking him, like, do you think I can join? I know that I'm, not a seventh grader yet, which is when we start, being able to participate in sports. And so I had asked him then, and he was like, yeah, of course. And so from that moment on, just being able to run with like the older group of athletes just really was touching, and I just knew from then on that was definitely going to be my God gifted passion, because it just came naturally. I'm not going to say that it was easy at first, like at all. Running mileage just definitely takes a lot of work and consistency and constant determination and grit, of course, but nothing is impossible with God, so that's where it started for me.
Absolutely, that's fun. Raeann, you had a big moment at your field day.
Yeah.
Can you take us back to that day and kind of, what won your heart, with that kind of competition?
Okay, so I have a very, very competitive spirit. Ever since I was young, I love to compete. My brothers can tell you I was out there playing football with them, baseball, you name it, wrestling. Like, I'm very competitive. Doesn't matter if you're a girl or boy, I will compete with you. But of course, we had our what they call field day, and everybody was anticipating this one person to be the fastest girl or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, I may be small, but I'm gonna fight my way and I'm gonna win. And so there was a 75-meter dash, and of course, like nowadays, I don't even have a good start. And just like that race, I did not have a good start. I had to catch her towards the end, but that's when I knew. I was like, okay, everybody doubted me. Everybody doubts me because I'm small or I'm shorter, or they don't think I'm fast enough because I'm not built or anything like that. But that's really when I was like, man, I really like this. I really know I'm fast, so I need to put it to practice now. But of course, that was 5th grade, and like Aaliyah said, you can't get into athletics until you're in 7th grade. So it's kind of just like build from there, just keep learning the different sprint techniques, stuff like that. So that's what kind of won me over.
And so, that's true. You couldn't start. So did you kind of just run in between, or kind of
Yeah,
what'd you do in between that, from there to 7th grade?
Yeah. So I mean, I was kind of running just here and there. I didn't really know what I was doing, just kind of training. However, I had the God gifted talent of just being fast, and I mean, I can't really tell you. I had no training, had no plan, no nothing like that. It was kind of just like run, 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 run. So I would do like short sprints in the yard. I would just like run. Anything was just running. And I also did play softball for a very long time. So that kind of also, I was a center fielder. So like running for the balls and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that also helped a lot too.
Heck yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then being the center fielder, because my daughter's taking her. I'm like, look, because she was second base. We're moving her, and she stands there, and I'm like, you got to go back up right field. And then and then she's like, she'll just look at the left field. I'm like, no, you got to go back her up too. Like, you're in the middle. Like, you got to work. She goes, oh man, Dad. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna enjoy it. You'll love it. But I was like, for now, it's a little different experience. Oscar, track wasn't your first love. Am I getting that right?
Yep.
But something clicked, your sophomore year. What changed, and how'd you shift your mindset?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, we were taught to either play basketball, football, or baseball. I mean, I don't know if Jordan can say the same, but running was pretty much nothing to us. We had no business doing it. From elementary school, I believe it was 5th grade. I was a pretty chunky, believe it or not. I did not belong on a track, and then no, just grew up playing basketball, grew up playing baseball. The only sport I did not play was football, unfortunately. But I've just enjoyed watching every single sport, whether that's football, baseball, basketball, and even tennis, and then now track and field, and cross country as well. But yeah, sophomore year, a quick little summary. Freshman year, my dream was to obviously make varsity. And I didn't make it, and I was discouraged. And so my plan was just to keep working as hard as I could, whether that was on JV or whether that was on freshman team. So it went good. It went well. I mean, obviously, I know I didn't get moved up to varsity in sophomore year. That's whenever it clicked. But sophomore year, I mean, that was pretty much the breakthrough. That was the breakthrough. Obviously, I ran freshman year. Freshman year, I ran track, but I had once again had no business doing it. I was dragged into it. Um, so yeah, and then got into it, took it seriously. I was a big fan of the sprint relay teams, the 4x1, the 4x2, and even the mile relay. And I would watch watch the girls from the stands every meet that we would go to. And I knew eventually one day maybe I would have a shot, But it was just in middle school, it was so hard to be, the standout guy because we have so many talented people in my class, so the class of 2025. I mean, you have Alex Medina, you have Andrew Salazar, Aiden Martinez, the list goes on. And that just motivated me, and that's whenever I just put my foot down, quick basketball my sophomore year, and just put all my eggs into one basket. And it's never been the same since then. Never looked back.
And it obviously paid off.
Yes, of course, paid off through the blood, sweat, and tears. I know that sounds cliche, but yes, and without my sisters, I mean, to be honest, I would not be here. Obviously, without God as well. But to look up to two Division I student athletes who happen to be my sisters, is just such a blessing, and I wouldn't give up anything for it.
Oh yeah, and was it a hard decision to kind of leave basketball? Because I mean, like being a multi-sport, like obviously to start changing the path.
Right. Yes, it was very hard because I knew that my spot wasn't secure on any of the relays, and the only guaranteed race that I knew I had in the bag was either the 200 or the 400. And to be honest, nobody loves to run the 400. I don't know how she did it in high school. Nobody loves to do that. It is the hardest race, that and the 800, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
But yes, it was very difficult because growing up, basketball was everything to me. And, growing up watching Steph Curry and LeBron James, Kevin Durant, James Harden, all of them. And, but yeah, it was very difficult. But turns out it worked in my favor.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Man,
yes.
that's funny that you mentioned those basketball players, right? I'm not used to it. I'm used to like Jordan,
Yeah, and then,
Duncan.
and
No,
soon they'll be retiring soon, unfortunately,
I know.
in the next couple of years, which is sad. But
You're not
it
lying.
was so awesome being able to watch them grow.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're entering a new era, and it's
Yes, we are.
It's hard. It's hard to get used to because I feel like everything just kind of moved real smooth. Like you had that one player. Like to me, it was you had Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, and it kind of just flowed. And now we were kind of like, well, who's gonna take LeBron? And then Curry popped
Right.
up, but Curry's just not like the flashy guy that
No.
Jordan and Kobe and LeBron were. He's a humble dude. Like
Yeah.
Yes.
so now it's like, okay, well, who's this next guy that's
Who's
gonna
next?
be like, I'm the best, I'm the GOAT, or
Yep.
we don't have that yet. So it is kind of funny. That,
Plenty of talent in the NBA, though. I mean, it's fun. It's fun, For the last couple of years, from I'd say probably 2022, I really stopped watching basketball. After Kawhi left the Spurs, and I don't know how long ago that was, but
yeah,
it's just been so much fun. Obviously, the Pacers. Not my team. I'm not a Pacers fan. The only reason I supported them was because I love Tyrese Halliburton, and it's unfortunate to see what happened yesterday. We're prayers
Oh,
up
no.
for his family and himself. But Jordan, he'll talk about it in a little bit. His favorite player is on the Knicks, the Jalen Brunson.
Ooh.
And we wanted that matchup so bad, and we got it. My Pacers came out on top, and I get bragging rights. And even though they lost the finals, that's still something that I'll be able to bring up. So, but yes, I got back into watching NBA basketball, and I'm so happy, and I can't wait to see what happens next year.
yeah, no, for sure. And I was kind of in the same boat. It just for some reason the NBA just kind of didn't attract my attention anymore. And
Right.
what kind of stole it, I think, was college softball. If I have to say, kind of what drifted me, towards. And I'm sorry, comments popping up. They're gonna pop up.
Oh,
It was here, and
no,
I feel
all
like
good, all good, all good, all
I feel
good.
like Jordan was kind of getting covered when I showed him on the screen. Don't want to do him like that. So man, this was the first year that I was like, man, I saw Halliburton, his story, his grind. I was like, dude,
Incredible.
to see
Awesome.
that guy would be awesome, and then what's his name? Shea Gilgeous
Gil-
Alexander, dude,
Yeah.
he's a beast. He's a beast. And so seeing those guys and the way that it's no longer, or it wasn't just like a 3-point shooting
Right.
contest.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm getting back. I'm getting back.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm on that same boat, brother. I'm on that same boat with you.
You know, and on the topic of basketball, you know, we got Jordan. You started playing basketball at age 5, which is
Yes.
that's tiny. You know, and little dribblers. Was that where you started? Is that where your career took
Yes.
off? Okay.
Yes, sir. So whenever I knew like, okay, basketball is my thing and like track wasn't, I'm gonna start off with where I knew track wasn't my thing. So growing up, I love watching my sisters compete. You know, like uh, just seeing them run. I was like, okay, man, like I want to run. So there was this one day we were all four of us in front of the house and we were running up a hill. And I just remember we're all running, and then we get done, and my dad's like, and I finished last, and then everyone else is all in front of me. My dad asked me, he's like, "What happened, Jordan?" I was like, "Man, I don't know. I'm just slow." And then and then he just started laughing, and then I was probably, I don't know, I can't remember how old I was, but I remember that. But going back into basketball, I just once I started playing it, I could never stop. Like that's always been my first love. Um, and Oscar is what kind of made me like, okay, I'm gonna play basketball. Oscar started, and I think for 5 years my dad got to coach him when Oscar was starting in like first grade all the way through sixth or fifth.
6 years. Yep.
And I always got to watch his group, and I was like, man, I want my dad to coach me. I want my dad to coach me. And then finally, my sixth grade year, he was like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what? He got to coach me. And I was like, man, let's go. I was like, it's going to be so fun. And I was like, man, after the season ended, I was like, I don't want this guy to coach me ever. I was like, oh my God. No, but all jokes aside, I love him, man. He's a great coach, great dad.
Yep.
You know,
Yes.
and as we were saying about basketball, after that year, it was a great year, great team. We only had about 7 kids. We lost about 2 games, went like 9-2. It was a great season. And then school ball started, 7th grade year, and that's whenever everything just started flowing. And then 8th grade came, and then freshman year came. There was a little talks, oh, you might not make varsity, this and that. And I was just like, I stayed quiet the whole time. I worked my butt off, and everything paid off.
Absolutely. You know, and was there a game or like a moment, whenever you figured that you can hang with those guys? Like, especially being a freshman, there's very few kids your age, your grade, and now you're stepping up, on the court with upperclassmen. So,
Yes, sir. I would say the first district game we played Lytle. They are a great squad. Man, it was a very tight game, and it was the first district game. I had already played a couple tournaments, and I got my feet wet, and then I secured my spot, and I was like, okay. And then they come out, and I was just like, man, like basketball is a fast game. And as you start like little dribblers, and you get to middle school, then high school, the paces are way different. Like from middle school to high school, man. And then you get to district, and everyone's just like coming at your neck, like 100 miles per hour every play, and no one's slowing down. And then I was like, okay. It took me about 2 quarters, and I was like, you know what? I can hang. Started hitting some shots, and then the game started flowing. And then a big game this year where I was like, you know what? That's it. Like, I know I can hang. Was Dilly. I had a great performance. I started out, and the game started like 4-0, I think. And then I guess I wasn't thinking, but our point guard, Jamarcus, gave me a nice pass. I wasn't wide open, but I was pretty far I was about like 4 feet away from the 3-point line behind. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to shoot it. I shot it, and I just felt, I was like, man, if it looks good, it feels good, I know that's going in. I saw it switch to the net, and everyone went crazy. I was like, oh my gosh. I got back on defense. I got a steal, gave it back, timeout called, crowd goes wild. It was crazy. I was so hyped. I was so pumped. But
I can imagine. And then in Dilly game, rivalry.
yeah,
What a big
and
moment.
man, and then even before the game, like you can ask my brother. I was like, cause I hadn't beat Dilly like my middle school year. I couldn't beat him. And then I was like, before the game, I was like, man, I'm a little nervous, I want to get this win super bad. And Oscar was like, and then Oscar was like, are you good? Are you good? I was like, I don't know. I'm a little nervous. And then warm up started, and Oscar's there. He's passing me the ball. I'm shooting. I'm still a little nervous. So the nerves kick in, and then boom, the game starts quick, like so quick. And I was like, okay. And then after the first quarter, man, it was a great game.
That's awesome, especially having your brother there too. Kind of
Yeah.
keep you collected, especially in again in that moment. I think Dilly games have changed over the years. Back then
Yeah.
they were like they're yeah, from like the '90s, from the stories I've heard in the '90s.
Yeah.
It was insane. And then I'm like, man, I was
Yeah.
like, they're making dolls of y'all and beating them up. Like, what's that? I'm like, we just talk smack. I was like, I don't know about that stuff, but and now everybody, you more or less know everybody. There's social media is a big factor.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So it is. It's definitely, it's the rivalry's still there, but it's more like you competing with a friend,
Yep.
kind of in a way. But you still don't want to lose because then you got to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing. That's the one. Then it goes on, and trust me, it still goes on to this day. I'm 34, 35, something like that, and I'm still hearing, hey, remember when we beat you? I'm like, dude, like everybody beat us my senior year. Like, you ever seen those other things where you'd be, what was it? It's like a meme. It's like, you remember listening to Put On For My City and go out and lose by 60? That was my senior year every game. So every time I was like, look at this, it's funny. I'm like, yeah, not kind of. I was like,
Yeah.
that's what I experienced all the time. But you talk about support. So what's support like in y'all's family's home? Raeann, your dad stepped up, when you needed a coach. What did it mean to you, and how did that shift the way you trained?
It meant everything to me. It really did, that somebody actually cared, and even though it was my own father, of course, he wants to see the best for his children. No matter what, despite that, I was just like, man, somebody actually wanted to step up and help me get to where I know I wanted to be, which was state. I knew I was a state contender since my 7th, 8th grade year. I was already running crazy times, and my ultimate goal was to make it to state, and of course, D1 after that, but state first. And I knew that I needed a coach. I wasn't getting enough training, and my dad really stepped up. It meant the world. I really took it more seriously, especially because what Jordan was saying, like, man, he can be the hardest coach in the world. We went through a lot of crying nights. We went through a lot of criticism, but it really molded me into the woman I am today and the athlete I am today. And I'm just beyond thankful that he stepped up, and he played a big part. He played a big part, and I know each and every one of our lives and all of our athletic stories. And yeah.
And would he separate like dad and coach? Because like that's where
Yeah.
my hardest part is, because it's
Yes.
I've coached, my kids are little, but I'll coach him and I'll be hard on him, and then the next
Yes,
thing I
sir.
know, daughter's crying and I'm like, oh, now I got to be dad, right? And I'm like, oh, it's
Yes.
okay.
No, he definitely did a good job of separating coach and dad. Of course, there was those times where I was just like, Dad, come on, like this is, and he was just like, hey, like calm down, breathe, let's get back into it. But yeah, he did a really good job at it. It's hard, but he really did a good job.
And did y'all have those moments where you're like, okay, dad was right? Like it
Yes,
Mhm.
all the
it
time,
absolutely paid off.
all the time, all the time. I know he's watching this right now, so Dad, I won't admit it, but there you go.
Clip that. We got proof.
No,
He's gonna go back and screen record.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
He saved me that one.
Yeah.
So Aaliyah, you mentioned you always you sharing your schedules, scriptures before race days. How does a spiritual connection keep your family grounded? Before big moments.
So I feel like usually, like, okay, so like with what you were saying right now, usually before like any big meets or like any big what do you say, like competitions, pretty much, yeah, pretty much like competitions, like, and it going like, for any of us, we'll usually like send out the schedule. I'll send out like my schedule, cause I get back like in August, like mid-August, and by then coach already has the schedule. I know which meets I'm going to, and so I'll send it out ahead of time to like my family. We all have like a group chat with our, with each other and then our parents, and so I'll send it out there. And usually like the night before, I'll be like, hey, I'm in the hotel room, like if y'all want to say a prayer for me, or like just stuff like that, or send motivation, because like really anything like helps, to
Yeah.
just calm like the nerves, and just keep you calm, keep you collected, because the that's honestly just like how I've learned to like compete better, is when I'm like in a calm state, when I'm like, Lord, you got me, and nothing's gonna come between us. This race is for you. It's to glorify you, and so just having that family support there, and just knowing that when they say I'm gonna pray for you, they like mean it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so they'll even send like scriptures there in the group chat, and it's just very helpful. It's very reassuring for me, and I'm just like, what, Lord, like this is what I need. Or sometimes you'll have people send you scriptures, and you'll be like, man, Lord, that's what I needed. That's what I need to hear. 5 minutes before I step on the field, like it's so it just helps to have that guidance, to have that support, and just have these three right here just back me up 100%, and me for them too. So vice versa.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Just having that peace can
Oh
go a
yeah.
long way. You know, I have two younger brothers, and definitely the comfort of a sibling. It seems to be a little different than the comfort of a friendship. Not that it's
Yeah.
you always appreciate your friends when they're there, but
Of
having
course.
your siblings there is it's a different feeling
Yeah.
to have.
Yeah.
So just hearing that y'all are that connected, and of course your parents always, of course your parents would probably crawl to a meet if they had to. If they were
Yeah.
had absolutely no choice, they're going. They're
Definitely.
going. They'll
Yeah,
crawl
no,
hands
for
and knees.
sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
Definitely,
No.
100%.
And that so Oscar, you said your family shows up, rain or shine.
Yep.
How was the consistent presence impacted, or how has the consistent presence impacted your confidence and drive?
Yeah. Them showing up to every single meet, rain, snow, sleet, shine, doesn't matter what it is. Seeing them there just gives me the confidence, all the confidence in the world. I'm already confident enough with the team and my brothers that I go out on the track and go out there and compete against and fight with. And quick story this year, it was at the district meet in Jordanton before we ran the 4x2 relay. And of course, not to sound, uh, arrogant or cocky, we the elephant in the room was we knew we were already gonna win, but there was it was packed. I've never seen a crowd so packed and energetic, and I don't think I had spotted my family yet in the stands, and so I was behind my blocks, and I looked up, I still can't find them, and bam, it's like right there, like a spotlight right on them, and I was like, okay, I cannot lose this race. I'm not false starting. Every single thought that I was thinking of that was negative was just bam. It was gone. And then gun goes off, and rest is history. We came back with the district title in the 4x2 relay.
Amen.
Dang, that's awesome.
But yep. And I was just so incredibly blessed. With my 3 years, 4 years running there. It was really 3 years, but if Braden and Drayden and Reese, Renee, Ryan, if y'all are all watching, God bless every single one of y'all.
Amen.
It was an honor and a blessing to be y'all's teammates, and they're not done writing the story yet.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited to see what they can bring to the table that they already haven't brought. And in Braden in particular, that kid is special, man. That kid, Braden, he's something else, man. He's gonna be a star one day.
That's Rodriguez, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. He's definitely is just
He's
like
up
his
there.
dad. He's like his dad. I'll tell you that. His dad.
Very humble,
Yeah.
and very quiet kid, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, very talented.
No, to go back, I guess, because I want to say this was probably the last Pee Wee group that I had. I think Alex and them were kind of like our last bunch of boys.
Yep.
But before that, it was I'm a huge Cotulla fan. I'm not even from Cotulla. I mean, I grew up in Laredo, moved here when I was a freshman, but I'm just real diehard when I come to, like, once I like a team, especially going to my like school. Like, I never finished at Tech State, but hey, I'm gonna talk my smack whenever Tech State beats UT or A&M. Like I went there, or like I finished it, right? But so I still feel I'm very passionate. I live in Cotulla, of course. I'm gonna be a diehard fan. Support whoever's at the head of the group. Luckily right now it's teammate and a longtime friend Steve-O. So of course, I always back up Cotulla, but this group was man. I remember whenever, because for some reason I just remember them being so small but playing up, and kind of, and then watching them, and then the I only knew like of y'all's senior group, your
Yeah.
class, and like to hear from like the little ones. I think the only one I really knew was Frankie J, just because his dad and myself, we always hung out. I don't want to say I think we might be. I don't know. I don't know the connection. I'm related to half Cotulla, so I wouldn't doubt if I'm related to Frank. But I grew up with Frank, so seeing like that little sophomore class was another one, and then we have family friends. So uh, whenever first got wind of Braden, it was like, who is this kid, and where'd he come
Yeah.
from? Like, who are his parents? And then they're like, oh, it's Brian and Alex. I'm like, oh, Brian. I was like, yeah, okay, it's definitely. I was like, he's definitely surpassed his dad, and not that
Yeah.
his dad was, not that it was easy. Brian was an amazing athlete, but Braden is definitely a different animal.
Yep.
So it's good to see that Cotulla's in good hands for a couple more years, and hopefully forever. Right? That's what we're
Yeah.
trying
Oh,
to build.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah, definitely.
So Jordan, you being the youngest, and having siblings, playing, collegiate athletes, your brother was senior, finishing his high school career. How did your family balance being at your basketball games while also supporting, your siblings at their track meets, and would you feel the same presence that Oscar would feel, courtside?
Yes, and a little bit of what Oscar was saying, but not really. So the games would start, and I would see them, and I'd be like, okay. I was just like, maybe I guess I was too locked in. Like I would see them, but I wouldn't really pay that much attention. So when I would see them, I'd just be like, okay, you know what? It's game time. Whether they're here or not, I'm just gonna 100% ball out. Put on a great performance, and that was really.
So you're like a tunnel vision kind of guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you're
So like
just
once
block the crowd.
yeah, once like there's like 30 minutes before the game starts, I'm just like, okay, time to lock in. And then once I'm on the court, it's like I don't care who's here, who's not here. I'm just gonna go.
Do you have a pregame ritual?
Um, this year I would just go to the locker room. Me and Oscar would be there, and then I would say a little prayer before we went out, and then the coach would talk to us. We'd go out, and then yes, I actually do. Me and Oscar before every game, me and Oscar would
Oh yeah, yeah,
he would give me passes. I would give him passes. We would both warm up, shoot, and that was like the best part. Like having Oscar there, my first season, his last season, both on varsity. It was just like I felt great. I always wanted that. I told him this year before the year started. I was like, man, I just want to play varsity basketball with you. Like, and we made.
And tell the deal.
We made a
The
little
deal.
deal. We were like, I told him because he hadn't played basketball since his sophomore year, and I told him I was like, if you play basketball, I'll do track. And then I was like,
Needless to say, it happened. It happened.
it happened, but I enjoy track? Not really. But I mean, the moments that were made with Oscar, going to watch him every time and just playing with him every time, him being there, me being there, it was great for sure.
That's awesome. What about y'all? Do any of y'all have a pregame ritual, or you're superstitious or something?
Okay, I actually do.
Raeann
I have a
has
superstition. I have a superstition, and they all know it. It's been since my high school year. It's gonna sound crazy. I promise I wash it, but I actually sleep in my uniform the day before I meet. I sleep in it.
You're not the first. You're not the first that I've heard that. But I believe that you wash it. I hope you wash it.
No, of course I have to. But yeah, that's my superstition. Of course, praying and giving everything to God. But other than that, it's sleeping in my uniform.
Aaliyah, Oscar, no.
Um, Nothing really superstitious, but just more so just staying in contact with the family. Of course, that's the main thing. Get the team together, have a nice prayer, and then usually just text Jordan, my friends Matt and Drayden. Then we all have a group chat together. We just sometimes I'm usually a little bit more tense in the moment, before the races start, and having that little group chat, and they get to me, with some jokes sometimes that really calms me down, brings me back to a nice mental state, and that's pretty much it. And the only thing I can think of is packing up my stuff, because I had this duffel bag, and I would put all my stuff, make sure everything's in there, and the only thing that would be missing on the meet days would be the massage gun.
Yeah.
I would always forget that, unfortunately. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Dang, dude. So that massage gun, that's probably what you needed most, especially.
I know.
Aaliyah,
So,
no pregame
it's-
ritual, pre-race.
so for me, I'd be lying if I said that I was like that I had everything like planned out and like laid out the day before. I never do, but no, for me, I'd say I usually like I'll warm up with the team. So like for us, we'll do like a 2 mile warm up before we go and run a 5K. And so
Yeah.
I'm just there with the team. We're playing like some fun little jams and just running around the course, and then I'll like once we're done with our warm up, I'll like put my jersey on, put the bib on, get the spikes on, and I'll usually be like, hey guys, I gotta go to the restroom. So I'll go by myself, go say a prayer real quick, and then put on some and I've kept it the same way every time. I've since our regional meet, and we'll go off about that later.
Yeah.
But or we'll get into that later. But ever since that regional meet, like the way that I prepared for that is kind of how I try and prepare for these races. So I listened to like some Enigma. It's called Enigma. My dad got me into it. It's like this soul, like it's like this soul music. I can't really explain it to you. You'll just have to listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music,
Yeah,
whatever
for
y'all
sure.
have. But it is like it gets to you like where it needs to. And so I listen to that. I'll do my stretches, and then pretty much just line up with the teammates and line up with the coach. We'll like huddle up, and we'll say a prayer all together, and then we'll just say roar lines on 3, 1, 2, 3, roar lines, and then everybody goes back to the line, and then I'm locked in. I'm pretty much locked in after that. I'm like, I know what I have to do. We've already went over race day strategy. We're gonna try and run as a group, do our best to stay close with one another, motivate one another. I'm sorry, and that's pretty much it. Just hydrate, fuel up, especially after and definitely the day before. Get all the carbs in. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I know it sounds like a little, but in like a lot at the same time.
No, but I mean, you have it kind of down, like, it's, I mean, I'm sure everybody does it, right? Or there's something, there's probably something that some people probably don't realize it because it's just so natural and you're so
Yeah.
used to it, especially when
You
it's
get used to it.
going on for so long.
Exactly.
I'm sure that's the way it feels to you. It might, people are probably like, oh my gosh, he probably prepares like 2 days before, but in reality, you're probably getting it done probably like hour, right? Hour
yeah.
tops, something, or,
Yeah.
you got in mind.
Definitely.
Your mom was ready to call you out.
I know she
Yeah.
was ready, and then she
Good.
also said, "I
Christmas
forgot."
Christmas mismatch
Yeah.
socks.
So, actually, I don't know if my high school coach is on, but Coach Science actually gifted me with Christmas socks for one of my, I think it was my sophomore year, and we were doing our Christmas training, and she gave us all different gifts. So I got socks, and ever since then, like I've always worn a mismatch. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but I also do that. That's also just one of my superstitions. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
That's what that would, yeah. Hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much you can say to it. All right, so now, we'll kind of go over, your strengths and specialties as far as y'all listed. Aaliyah, what drew you to the 800 and the 1500 meter? What kind of discipline does it take mentally and physically? Because running long distance, to me, that's very mental. Because you're there for so long.
Right. No,
So
for sure.
So what kind of discipline does that take? Especially more mentally than physically, because your
Mhm.
body does go through a lot, especially running a race that long.
Right. So I'll start off with how I got into the 800. So in high school when I first got there, freshman year, I was focused on the 3,200 meter and the 1,600 meter, and so I kept competing in that, trained real well for it, and I had some great coaches. I had my dad, of course, there to do the after time type of work with me
Yeah.
on with all of us on the weekends, especially pulling sleds and pulling the parachutes and getting into like the weights here at home.
Yeah.
So I had that. I never lacked the support from my family, and so I also had some great coaches in high school. I had Coach Susan Garcia, Coach Olvera, and Miranda Signs as well. Her support, it's just amazing. And so I was blessed with some great with a great support system. And so for the freshman and sophomore year, I was running it. I would get to the regional meet, and I was so close to making it to state. I think the closest I had gotten to was fourth in the 1,600 meter, I want to say. And so I removed my well, I didn't. I guess yeah. I kind of removed myself from like the 32. I was like, let's just try the 1,600 meter, and that's when I got fourth. And so they only take top 2 to state from regionals, and so I was like, man, like I don't know what else I can do to like get myself there. The competition's always tough coming out of our region, especially Region 4, Region 4. And so I knew that either I was just gonna have to work, overtime, and so continue to do that. But I remember specifically going to the track one day with all of my siblings and my parents, and so my dad was like, you know what? And I don't know where he got this miraculous idea from, but he was like, hey, Aaliyah, he's like, run me an 800, and I was like, an 800? Dad, I run 4 laps, like, and I run 8 laps, like, 800 meter. You know how fast I have to go, like, to be able to hold that pace. And he was like, hey, let's just try it. And so I was like, okay. And so, ran my 2 laps. I think, I can't remember the time. I think it was probably like a 2:30 something at the time. And I wasn't even in the shape. I hadn't even been training for the 800, because I feel like the training for a 5K and then training for an 800 and even a 1,600 meter and a 1,500 meter at that is different, because there's more speed related to the 800 than there is, the 5K. You got to train more endurance, do higher mileage. And so I was like, man, maybe I can do something in this. And so it started with him, of course, and then them there to time me and, there to at least run a lap with me. I know they're the sprinters here. They don't run more than like a 200. But they did. They ran the last, I think one of them ran the first 2 and then one of them ran the last 2. And so it started there. And I remember telling my high school coaches, like, hey, I think I can do something in the 800. I think we got a shot at state with this. And just because they were used to me running like the long distance event, the true long distance events, they were kind of like, are you sure you want to do that? And I was like, yeah, hey, I'm gonna do whatever it takes, like to make it to state. That had always been my goal. I mean, of course I had qualified for state like all 3 years in cross country in the 2 mile, but I wanted to do it at the track level, where they only take top 2. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
for cross country they take top 10, but for track they only take top 2. And I've always just been like motivated to do the hardest things, and so I was like, this is gonna be good. And so I just stuck with it. We trained, and of course put in overtime, during the weekends and stuff. And I stuck with the 800. And our junior season got cut short because of COVID, which I'm sure everybody knows.
Yeah.
And so there was no state, there was no no district,
There was
nothing.
That was my freshman year, her junior year.
Yeah.
We were both
Wow.
on a really good run that year too. And
Definitely.
it just got cut short, unfortunately.
And I think you shared a picture of you like wearing a mask. I'm sure I could find it, right? But I saw that. I'm like, how? This one right here.
There you go.
Oh yeah,
Sophomore.
that was my sophomore year.
Oh,
That
okay.
was
So the
after.
following,
We
there's
still
still.
had to wear masks at the meets. It was crazy.
So you would wear that and then like put it up, or
Yeah, you would have to.
Just full.
Yeah, you would have to. I would put it down. Some people ran with it. I couldn't do it, so I would just fold it and put it under, and then right after I have to put it back up.
Wow,
crazy.
that's insane. But
Yeah.
I forget that because they cut back. I mean, well, everything, right? Like everything kind of
Yeah,
just.
everything got cut.
Yeah.
Man, that
Basically,
feels.
all the spring sports got
Yeah,
cut.
Everything
spring.
got cut,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go. Because I think we still played football.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Football, volleyball still happened, but
Right.
it was. I guess it got a little more serious or whatever.
Right.
We won't get into that. So the moment that you cut the 3200, you never ran it again.
No, I didn't. I didn't. The only thing I really stuck with was the 1600 meter and the 800 meter. But then I fully also cut the 1600 meter the year that we both
Yeah.
made it to state.
Her senior year.
Yeah, my senior year. Yeah, that's when I fully cut out the 32 and the 16 and was like, you know what, I'm solely gonna focus on the 800 meter because, I mean, now that I've learned, what it takes to run a quick 800, it means like cutting out the distance portion because overdoing it with the distance is just it's a little harder to get down on the speed or get the speed part down on the 800 when you're running so much mileage.
Yeah.
Because your body becomes accustomed to, like, right now in the 5K, my body's accustomed to that aerobic um, type of endurance. Whereas like in the 800 meter, I'm just using full anaerobic because I'm not running for 18 minutes. Now I'm running
Yeah.
for like
Yeah,
2
and it's a little
minutes and
different
20
breathing,
something
right?
seconds. And yes, different breathing pattern,
Yeah.
different just like form and so I fully cut it out. And little at the time, I mean, during the time, I didn't know that was going to be, my greatest blessing pretty much. And so we ended up cutting it out. And
You did try the 4.
and I did try. Oh my goodness! Oh my! Don't even get me into the 4. Okay, like
Ooh.
I didn't even know how to do block starts in the 400 meter. I would do standing starts because I was just used to it. As a distance athlete, like I was just used to the right here. And then they were like, "You gotta run blocks," and I'm like, I don't even know how to put my hands like this. Like I don't know how to do the
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah, I was like that.
And so I did run the 4 like for a while. I was okay, but I just knew that wasn't gonna be it. And so eventually it got down to just being able to run that 8, and we worked on it for such a long time. Like we would tweak workouts and going along with what they were saying. Like yes, my dad was especially like hard on us, but it was more like that tough love, because
Yeah.
he knew like he knew our potential, and so he knew what it was going to take to get us to this level, because I had already been like in cross country, for all like the previous years, and so this was just different though because it was a different event and there was a different way to train for it. And so I just really had to like also get like that tunnel vision, and just say, you know what, like no matter what, this is what I'm going after, and and so we trained for it. We went. I remember it was the area meet because it was right before. Yeah, it was right before regionals. I hadn't done too good. I'm gonna be honest. I hadn't done, and I think a lot of people know. I hadn't done good in the 8 that day. I think I had gotten 4th. Yeah, 4th. And usually, what you want is to be either 1st or 2nd at the area meet because then you got a better shot against the best of the best competition when it comes down to regionals.
Yeah.
And so I was so disappointed that day. Like, man, I could have came home and like threw the kitchen sink that day. I was so quiet in the car on the car ride back home, and then eventually I just remember my mom coming into the room and being like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was just like, I'm not. I'm like, I expected more from myself because like how am I supposed to go to state if I'm 4th today and like I'm supposed to be top 2, like at regionals, like. I was disappointed, and so we talked it through. We all got together at the dinner table, and
that dinner table.
there was a lot of talks at that dinner table. And so anytime that any of us, my dad like could read body language like this, like he'd be like, "What's wrong with you?" And so we'd go and sit at that.
Oh, don't worry, he still does.
Oh, he still does.
This day.
Let me get it right. He still does, but that day was just there was something about that night. He called us all out and he was like, we know what your goal is. We have I think we still had a week.
A week and a half.
A week and a half.
Yeah, still had a week and a half.
to train. He's like, we're gonna do everything that we can, and
Cause tell them what
oh,
you're saying was.
and I knew that she was gonna make it. I knew that she was gonna make it to stay. Like, Ray is just like her gift, the gift, and then the way that she carries herself onto the track, like no, like there's like almost like no race anxiety before. She's just confident in herself, and that's honestly and truly where I wanted to be as well. Like, I just wanted to be like, I wanted to have that same confidence, like when I stepped on that track at regionals, because I knew obviously I did qualify like for regionals, but I was like, I want to make it past, and I already knew because of her, because of her track record, that she was well on her way to state, and so I was like, let me not be selfish with, in saying this, but like, there is nothing more that I want than like to be able to compete there at the state meet with you instead of having to sit in the stands. Not that that wouldn't be like great and like a blessing, because I'm always here to support them 100%.
Of course.
But it would be different, and it would be like history if we could do it together.
Yeah.
And sure
for
enough, I said that, and I feel like everything that I say, like I speak into existence.
Yeah.
And so the power of the tongue, right? And so life or death. And so after that night, we had that great talk, and I let everything out pretty much, like let the tears roll out, and I finally let it all out, and we went on about training, put my head down every day, worked for it, and then we got to that regional meet at the Converse Stadium, and that was when I knew, and so I know it's a long story. I'm trying to keep it
No,
short.
you're good. No,
I'm
trust
trying
me.
my best to keep it short, but it's just so long.
It's the summer. Nobody goes to bed early.
Okay, then I'm good. And so we got to the hotel.
Yeah.
I remember. And
We were eating breakfast.
yeah,
We were eating breakfast together. We had got an IHOP.
Yeah, we got IHOP, and man, it was good. It was probably like one of the best breakfasts I had before a race. Usually, like now, I don't really eat before a race because all my competitions are like early in the morning. But this one, of course, was like
Yeah, it was later in the day. Yeah.
And so
Oh,
we
I
had
got
to
you.
do breakfast with Coach Susan
Yeah.
and Coach Signs, and felt good. I felt calm and relaxed, but I think we went back to the hotel.
Yeah, we were sitting. Okay. I'll help her out here. We were sitting in the hotel room, and I was like, like she said, I'm very calm, very collected. I don't really, glory to God, I don't get no race anxiety, nothing like that. I'm very calm. I know that what God has given me is what He's given me, and you can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there really calm, and she was like pacing back and forth, all this stuff. She's like, man, how are you so calm? Like, how do you, like, she was like that. And I was like, because I know God's got me. And ever since then, that's been our saying, like, God's got me, God's got us.
Yeah.
And I think ever since then, that, like, flipped the switch. Of course, God has always been in our lives. Faith has always been the biggest thing, but she needed to flip the switch on, and she did, and the rest is history.
Especially like that during that time period, just because of what had transpired the week before. I didn't let it like get the best of me, obviously, but I'm just like, man, I knew what the goal was, and it was like probably the toughest goal like I've ever pretty much like said. Because even now, collegiately, with all of the races that I've had, like nothing tops that one. And I don't know, it's just because I had my sister there with me, like
For sure.
But
Could help it a
of
little bit.
course, that changes everything. And so yeah. And after she said that, I was like, God's got me too. And so after that, we stepped on to the track, and it was time to go for me to go warm up. And so and Coach Susan Garcia, and then Coach Jose Olvera, they don't let any coaches on track. So they were like, you know what, kiddo? And Susan always called me kiddo, so she was like, kiddo, you got this. And then coach is like, you've trained for it, you prepared for it, like mentally, physically, spiritually, of course. Like that's the biggest part right there. It's all gonna work out in your favor. And so then I went around, got on the field. I put my earbuds in, and I had my shades on. I had my full I had my like maroon like long sleeve Nike
Tracksuit.
Yeah, tracksuit. Yeah. And so I just locked in, did my little 10-minute jog listening to Enigma, stretched out real good. And then they were like, all right, like last call for the girls 800 meter. And I was like, okay. Like, I prayed right before, of course, too.
Yeah.
And I just kept repeating to myself, like, this is the moment. Like God's got you. God's got you. You're gonna be okay. And so I stepped onto the track, and that was the first time I had ever stepped on the line. And I was in the first lane, which is my favorite lane. If anybody knows, like that is my favorite lane to run in. I hate running in the eighth lane unless I'm doing like a cool down. Okay, like let's not get twisted now. But like the first lane is where it's at. And I don't know, it's just because I'm like, man, I run shorter. Like I don't have to like do extra distance, like trying to get out in the eighth lane, like.
Yeah.
Because everybody comes in, waterfall start with 800. Everybody's trying to come in, and you're kind of like, hey, like let me
Yeah,
not get
for
spiked.
sure.
But yeah, no, I stepped on the line, and for the first time, I was like not anxious at all. I didn't have any jitters. I was just like locked in, and like I knew that my parents, my siblings were in the stands, and the coaches were on the other side. And not even that, because like when I ran that race, it almost felt like I was just like it was just so swift. Like I honestly, it definitely wasn't even me running. I just knew that the Lord was like there to carry me, because that was the smoothest I've ever felt in a race, and the most like confident I'd ever been. Like the passion was there. I was like, the work had already been put in. It was just time to go. And I remember running the first lap, and came the bell lap, and I think I was in fifth. I was moving up to fourth. And then we came around to I believe, the last 200 meters, and I was trying to pass the the girl that was in third. She ended up being regional champion. I can't remember her name, but anyways, I was trying to pass her, but she kept putting up that fight, as anybody would, to make it to state.
Yeah,
And
for
so,
sure.
then there was another girl that had led the entire race, but gassed out, and I knew right there, that 150 meter, that's where I had practiced with my family. Like, this is where you're gonna go. This is where that you can hang, with everybody else. And so right then and there, I saw it. I saw the 150 meter, and I was like, all right, this is where I'm going. I'm giving it everything I got. Put my head down, and I passed that girl, and I was in second. I could have been regional champ, because I did kind of catch up to the girl that ended up being our regional champ in the 8 that year. But no, I just knew it, and I felt it, and I crossed that finish line, and I was like, glory to God. Like, like I was definitely tired. Like, if anybody watched the video that my mom and them uploaded, like I threw myself on the grass, and I was just, all right, it's over, it's done. Like, if anybody knows that feeling, like, of a true competitor,
Yeah.
I knew I had to put up a fight.
He got
But
you,
I
though.
couldn't
He
have
got
done it
you.
without the Lord,
Yeah. He got you.
I couldn't have done it without him, just like I couldn't have gotten to the D1 level, just like I couldn't have, done anything without him. And so that's what it took. It just took believing not only in God and in Jesus, but also like believing that, the work had already been put in. It was just time to go and reap what had already been sown. And sure enough, I made it, and she made it, and we qualified together, and history was written there. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think I have
Yeah.
that shirt, actually. When y'all when y'all went.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
sweet.
it's there. It's somewhere in the closet. I can say that. Here, look, I got my little brother actually asked a question, and we'll get to the rest.
Okay.
How does the competitiveness run?
Oh my.
He hit the jackpot.
Oh my.
Your
Well,
your
the-
think your mom and dad answered it. Look, he said
Oh, well,
There it
he's
is.
right.
or this. Hold on, where was it? Everything
Yeah.
has to end in a
That's
tie.
That's
there,
it.
right there.
That's it right there. Summed it up right there. He summed it up for us.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you? Hold on. No, because he commented something. Sorry, Mr. Eloy also commented. Let us know every time. No phones. Oh, my bad. He was talking about the dinner table.
Oh.
Yeah, my dad wouldn't allow. Wouldn't allow us to have our phones at the table.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And being an all boys household, as soon as we get home, no shirt, like we're hanging out. And he would get so mad that we showed up to the table without a shirt to, go to the room, go put one on, blah blah. And it was like, but it's something that the kids come like, hey, we're gonna talk, we're gonna we got a good 30, 45 minutes here, which usually would drag on, right? You get through those conversations, and then hour later, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that was probably the best part of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So
Priceless.
that's what he was talking about.
No,
So
that's
how bad is the family competitiveness?
Well, just like my dad said, everything does have to end in a tie, or else somebody's gonna be upset.
Is there a way we can plead the fifth here?
Yeah.
Can we plead the fifth, please?
No, just silence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Growing up, I think more so for me and Jordan, you know, anything that we did, we wanted to have a rivalry so bad. We still do. In basketball, a couple days ago, we played our first one-on-one, and I don't know how long. We haven't played in a while. Big brother ended up winning, and nothing's changed. I'm just kidding. No, but it's fun because in the midst of competing against your siblings, you get so much joy, and then you become like the age that I am now, 17, and Jordan might call me Unk here, but no, it's in any sport actually. We can go to in San Antonio, it's called Pop Stroke. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Oh yeah.
It's like a mini golf course, so nice, and we did solos, and even there, it's like, man, you're not just playing to have fun, you're there to compete. To compete, everything has to end in a tie. That day, just like all the others, it didn't end in a tie.
No.
I'm not gonna say who won, but
No, we can say it.
who won?
Our mom won, actually.
There you go. That's one way to break the tie.
Who would have thought? Yes, but no, it's awesome, in one-on-ones in basketball, sprinting on the track, running with Aaliyah. Good luck, because no one's staying with her.
Oh no. Oh no.
In the bag with our dad, playing wiffle ball. We even have our little field in the back. I don't know if we can show that maybe in the next couple of days or something, but
For sure.
those moments are just so priceless,
Yeah.
and we can be out there from 7 p.m. till who knows when, midnight I'd say, but midnight's not even a fair point, because we can be out there till 4 or 5 in the morning, to maybe
Still
our arms
going
fall
at
off, but yes, we do have a rivalry, and of course it
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
all good.
I don't know what
all
happened to
good.
my camera. Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's a very healthy rivalry. Sometimes in terms of the basketball world, the 1v1s, sometimes punches are thrown. No, I'm completely kidding. We have our cameras, security cameras, and my parents, we won't even know this, me or Jordan, we won't know it, but they'll be watching, and we'll be pushing and shoving each other. We'll see a text, and we'll be like, oh no, we're in trouble, we're cooked, we're cooked. But no, it's just
There's
so
video
awesome,
evidence.
man. Being able to grow up with a person like Jordan, who's so competitive as I am, and with our sisters as well, playing softball as well in the backyard.
Yeah.
No windows were ever broken, thank God.
Yeah, thank you.
Because we were playing with real softballs,
Yeah,
and but no, man, it's been so awesome, and to have a rivalry with every single one of them. I wouldn't trade the world for it. Wouldn't trade nothing for it.
Yeah. So look here, my camera went out. We'll get to it right now. Whenever I'll do it in between. But at my house, it was very physical, and look, and it's still to this day. He's still talking smack. Right. That's the youngest. We're lucky that the middle one's not here. It would get out of hand real quick.
Oh my.
But they'll never admit I was always better at everything. Everything and anything.
Come on, come on.
I'm sure I'll get another comment here soon. But Miss Susan shared this right here.
Yeah, that's our saying. It's run for God, run for gold. So
Yeah.
that was our saying.
Oh, here it is. Look.
Oh yeah, my sister actually has the
The
bracelet.
bracelet. This is actually
Look,
what.
send
Oh, here we go. Let's see. I don't know if y'all can see that,
Yeah.
but it says "Run for Blue Champion Heart," and this is actually the bracelet that Coach Miranda Sanchez had made for us both.
Yeah.
Before that race.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And so it was awesome. Just to know that we had that support, and just that we had everybody there to back us up.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And for context, RFB was run for blue, because in practices, coach would not just let me finish through the line. No, she made me overrun and
there
go
you
to the
go.
blue line. And so that was our thing. And of course, blue ribbon, that's first place. And then we changed the whole meaning. We were like, no, let's do RFG. So run
Yeah.
for God, run for gold.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool. Y'all need
yeah.
to put that on a shirt.
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Oh, look, your mom's saying that she takes it off.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
oh goodness.
Uh-oh.
That's want to play, but now they don't want to play.
No.
What have we done?
You
What
see
have
what
we done?
Yeah, maybe we
Even
should
our
have
parents
said.
too. Even our
Yeah, our parents are in on the right really too.
I
Oh,
almost
could.
forgot.
Yeah.
Also playing video games too. Growing up, I'd say, and easily elementary school, probably up to middle school too. We would play, NBA 2K, Madden, all of the sports games that you can think of.
That's
And every time that I would lose, we would have the rocking chair. So it's a rocking chair here, and on the opposite side, it's like the couch. And my dad would sit there, or Jordan would sit there, and like the clock's ticking, and I'm like losing a couple seconds left. I would like purposely put my knees up and have my controller here, so that they wouldn't see that I was crying. Man, oh man, I would bawl my eyes out. I would sometimes I would want to kick Jordan off the bed whenever he was asleep. Man. But,
That sounds
But,
about
yeah.
right.
yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, I think I want to say I know I was always big into gaming, but I would always play like I was a sports like Madden,
Of course.
all that stuff. The middle brother, he was more like adventure games, Call of Duty kind of. So he was good at that. And then, well, Jorge was the youngest, and he was just both, and he got good. And oh man, I remember whenever he first beat me, I was like, "There's no way! Like what? Something happened?
What
Am I
happened?
losing
What
my
happened there?
touch?" Went back to my room, just holding my head down, just disbelief. I said, "What have I done?" But no, so yeah, definitely, he's right. You keep that sibling rivalry, and
Yep.
it's
Of
gonna
course.
stay fun. And then whenever you become, you all already adults, and it's just a good bond to have, and it's always fun to still to this day we compete, and our kids enjoy it. They laugh at us. We're a lot slower now. I think my nephew's beating me, and so I mean it's there, but it's
Yep.
definitely a good time, and it's definitely fun.
course.
It's something to have. So let's see. All right, we'll keep going with these questions. Raeann, you run the sprints, 100, 200, right?
Yes,
How do you stay locked in, especially with that pressure of it being such a short race? And to me, it's the 800. I think you got to be insane. No offense, because that's
No,
tough.
no, bro.
800, that
You're-
800, 400. I mean, like I
It's
said,
like
it's mental when you're doing 1600, 3200.
Yeah.
Because of it being so long. I remember a coach tried, he taught me how to run those, and I remember in my head I'm like, what am I gonna think of for like 8 minutes, like when I'm on like the third or fourth, when I'm going to the final lap, like what's in my head? And he would try to teach me like, look, you got to talk to yourself and coach yourself. And I was so young.
Right.
I think I was like in 7th grade, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means, dude. But I don't know. I just think like,
Right.
I wonder what my mom's doing. I wonder what she's gonna make for dinner. And he would lose it. He's like, that's not what I'm talking about. I said, well, I mean, it's something. But so I say
Right.
that, right? So and then you running the 400, 800. That's just
crazy.
oh yes.
I know it was a different. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're
but
good.
it was just a different it was like a different animal, from the running the 32 and the 1600 because that's really all I had known. And then getting into that was definitely different. But honestly, just I think because now I'm more of like an adrenaline junkie, so just being able to run that, or having been able, let me say, having been able to run that during track season, because this previous season I had just wrapped up my last and final track season, as I'll be graduating in December. So yeah, no, it was fun, to run the 5K during the fall, and then go and run the 800 and the 1500 in track. And honestly, I wasn't really big in the, because I didn't answer your question about the 15, but
Oh,
I wasn't really big in the 15 until this previous season. And so coach was like, hey, let's run the 8, and you also want to run the 15? And I was like, I really didn't like that one. I tried it freshman year, my freshman year at college, and I was just like, man, this is this are we walking here? Because man, I'm trash at this. And anyways, then I tried it again, when I was in better shape, and I had obviously become better with my training as far as the 5K and stuff went. Was finally back to being healthy and better, better spiritually too. And so yeah, no, everything came into place this previous track season, and I ran 15. I got myself a PR in that, and also ran the 800 as well. And so it was just awesome because we'd go and we'd travel to like Ole Miss, and I'd be able to compete with like the best of the best there. You know, people from the SEC. You know, we talk. I remember in high school we used to talk a lot about the Auburns, the UTs, the Crimson Tide, and just all these like big SEC schools. And so being able to compete alongside of them now is like crazy. It's just the magnitude is what honestly just keeps me content. Keeps me
Yeah.
content. Yeah.
How far are you from like Auburn? Oh, cool, it came back. How
Mhm.
far are you from like Auburn and Alabama?
So, from Tuscaloosa, I want to say it was like a 3 hour drive, and then to Auburn, it's more of like anywhere from like 4 to 5. It just depends on the traffic, of course.
Yeah.
During that time, but no, they're both awesome like schools. I've been blessed to be able to run at the Crimson Tide track, and it was just different this time. Being able to run like in the evening, like and just being able to witness that beautiful sunset. Of course, it was freezing that evening. Like I'm by no means like used to the cold, but just being able to run there alongside like some of the most like fiercest competition, and especially like those that are to become like Olympians or have already
Yeah.
ran in like the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
crazy because you'll
insane.
see them
It's
run,
insane, yeah.
and it's just like, man, like whoa, hold on, I'm trying to keep up with you, especially like I have all respect for my like Kenyan teammates. Like I don't know how they do it. It's just they run so effortless, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna get there one day. Yeah,
They
I'm
almost
gonna
look like
run a
they
marathon
float.
just like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just awesome. I have so much respect for them, and for those that go pro, and especially like your previous the previous podcast that you had with Mike.
Yeah.
Mike.
Mr.
Well,
Whitwell.
I'm like, how do we top that? He was
Yeah,
he was
NFL.
at the highest stage, like pro elite
NFL.
level, and so yeah, no, it's just awesome.
Yeah,
We're
very
grateful for the
humble.
opportunity, of course.
We're
so.
extremely humbled because to
Yes.
come in after that is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, very, very blessed, very grateful to God.
Oh, it was a good time with him too, and it was just crazy just to hear how much pro potential was just down in South Texas, because he mentioned like 5 or 6 people, and now this what's fun about this podcast is that my conversations when I go out are like, hey, I love this episode, and
Yeah.
well, the way they talked and the way they did this and bringing this up, like that's true. And so that's what's been cool about it, like from the beginning. Like I think when Mr. Hilgi just talking about how he walked on for football was just something that kind of just opened the door, and everybody's like, you got to interview this person and this person. And then whenever I put out the
Yeah.
track and I saw that y'all reply, I'm like, no, I was like, hold on. I was like, they all like are competitive, and they all are like going to collegiate. Jordan, one day we're gonna bring you back. Hopefully this
Yes,
thing's still
yeah.
going, and we're gonna have the same conversation. Like, okay, now you're the four, then.
Yeah.
So I mean, so that's what's just cool about this all, and like I said, I've told people like it's all about the platform and seeing like the kids, they get excited, and to me
Of
it's
course.
funny because there was like, dude, like the parents tell me like, dude, they see you and they're like, oh my God, is he gonna ask me to interview, or how come he hasn't asked me to interview, or and I'm like, oh man, I was like, I'm just a regular guy carrying a camera. Like,
Right.
and now I was like, now they make me nervous. They're like, hey, I'll do it, I'll talk, and I'm like, okay. I was like, just please don't say nothing bad. So far, I haven't had a kid like that, but I still get nervous to this day.
Yeah, no,
Right.
understandable.
But back to Raeann, how do you stay locked in, especially for those and the pressure that just comes with those races?
Yeah. Good question. So, a little backstory. A lot of people know, but my sophomore year, believe it or not, I only made it to state in one event. And it was only because I got disqualified for a false start at the district meet for the 200. And it was very tough. It was hard. A lot of people know I didn't take that well, but that was the main reason why I was like, no, I have to be locked in, because despite that, I'm not gonna take for granted what God still gave me, which is the 100 meter. And I mean, from there on, I took that with me, and I took every opportunity I had to just train even harder. I think I don't know if I don't know if the email made it to you, but I did send a video, and it was of me and Jordan. Like he said he was slow, and my dad had us together in the blocks, like just working on the perfect start, and I like would blister out of the blocks, and then he would just get up and walk. He would give up. But just having them around, like that's what keeps me locked into. Like seeing, especially my sister was the very first one to go D1 in our family, like just breaking generational curses. And I mean, just seeing that, I was like, no, I have to be locked into because she's not gonna be the only one. I have to go too, and then on and on and on. Obviously, Oscar and now Jordan has to do it as well. But just seeing them, they keep me very locked in. They make sure that I'm always on the right path. With everything, it goes with everything. Taking practices very seriously is the biggest thing too, because believe it or not, track is actually 90% mental. Everything that you do, like yes, you can run, but if your mental is not there, you're not going to perform well. So that's why I say I try to stay calm and collected. I don't really get race anxiety at all. Glory to God. But no matter what, I always pray and give it all to Him, and I think He's the one that keeps me the most calmest. And I just know that I'm doing it for His glory, and obviously I want to give Him the glory in the best way, which is first place, and just breaking records and making it to state, all the good things. And so yeah, I would say that's how I would stay locked in.
Absolutely, that's a great answer, and you know, just hearing that you don't get any race anxiety, I think that is that's definitely a blessing in itself.
Yeah, amen.
So Oscar, you anchored, right, the 4x200.
Oh no, I started it.
You started.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What pressure is on your shoulders in that race, in that moment, being the first leg? I mean, it's kind of, how do I say this? Like, it could define the race in reality, because I mean, if
Yes.
you don't get a good start, you start piling more pressure on your teammates.
Yep. More so for like the regular season, if you false start, you get another chance at it. You get 2 chances. But what added more pressure was, seeing the stands packed always, and I had friends from other schools there watching, and of course, like it's the stagger, and everyone's there,
Mm-hmm.
And so, but what gave me confidence is always just looking into the crowd, finding my family. Bam, they're there. Let's go. And then, I had this thing where I believe it was in Dili, and I was feeling good, feeling great. The weather was awesome, and the third leg, Renee, I was there. I got my practice start in, and then he turns. He was like, "Let's go, see." I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And then the gunman says, "Runners to your marks," and then like as loud as I can be, I go, "Bam!" and I say, "Vamos!" and I step into my blocks, and man, I don't know why I did that. To this day, I don't have the answer to that, but that was probably the best start that I had. And it's all about confidence, to the young people out there watching. You got to have confidence, and you got to have that unwavering faith in God, and just let him lead your path.
Amen.
And of course, having the other 3 guys, Braden, Reese, and Jose, of course, they're my brothers who I would go out there and compete with, and history was written for sure in the 4x2. I don't think we'll ever see another 4x2 relay team like that again, man. It was just so historical. It's unfortunate I'm a senior, I won't be able to be there with them next year, but it's gonna be so great to see them, in the next up and coming years, and I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that I wish they would bring back. Was it the little wall of records? I remember that at the middle school. I don't know if you ever got to go to the old one.
Yes.
Right, but seeing like all the pictures there and their times and trophies, I think that was cool. I think that's something they should bring
I believe
back.
that's in every single school other than Cotulla.
Yes.
Really?
Every single, like in our district,
No,
every single school has it. It's like front and center, and then here.
We don't have.
Ah, man. You know what?
Yeah.
It's at the old Newman gym.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They used
that's
to have
right.
everything there, all the
It's
records,
not
everything.
outdated. It's just
It wasn't
not
old. It wasn't old when I
Yep.
was there, but whenever I got to go there. But yeah, no, that's exactly the time. And but also I think Cotulla probably has the newest their schools in
Absolutely.
probably the area.
Everything's
so that's
brand new.
also the other thing. But I think it's something that we should bring back.
Yes.
I
It was always fun just looking and seeing, and then also the little pictures on the top.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's awesome.
I think we got to go back to that. I think me and Steve have talked about it. I want to say
Yes.
he's working on something. It's in the works.
In
I
the
know we still
works.
have all those pictures
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
for sure. For sure. So, Jordan, let's go back to the topic of basketball. You mentioned that your strengths are shooting, finishing through contact, passing. What part of your game are you most proud of right now, and how have you worked to build that skill?
So scoring, I mean, I've always been like, I've always had like the ability to, if someone's in front of me, I'm gonna get a bucket off. I'm gonna just find a way to score. And in middle school, that's whenever like the scoring was there. And then this year, like we had a great team. We had a bunch of weapons, and then that's where the passing came into play, and then finishing through contact. Of course, like high school, it's a fast game. There's gonna be guys there. You got to finish through contact, and I feel like as of now, I've been getting way better finishing through contact, just getting to the lane, and of course, I know like shooting, it's always gonna be there. But there's just little things you can always add to like sharpen up your game, and that's really what I've been doing this summer, just making everything better, improving on any little thing I can, and just looking forward to the season.
Yeah, you listed a set of goals for us, and in order to achieve those goals, especially like the assists, I think assists are hard because you can, I mean, you can do your job, but you're not the one that's going to release the ball,
Yep.
Yeah,
right? But you also still have to get you also have to have that vision to be able to. You can't just go and just because you have three guys on you, give it to the guy that has two on him. You got to
yeah.
still be able to have that vision to look for who's open, who's got the best shot, who's. So, how do you take that? How do you take that skill and build on it?
So really, what it is, it's like just examining like the floor, seeing okay, like if I drive, if they're in a zone, say they're in like a 2-3 zone. If I crash the middle, two guys are gonna come to me. They're gonna be on me. I can pass out to the wing. Boom, there's an assist right there. If they're playing man to man, I can make a move, pick and roll, dish it down to a big. There's a little assist right there. It's just all basketball is really like real. Like you have to be thinking. You got to be thinking, and then you also got to know. Okay, like let's say like we're playing a great team, and they know like okay, if we're in a 2-3 zone, we're not gonna play this guy all the way up. We're gonna let him shoot, or we're gonna let him drive, and we'll kick out, and they'll get a steal. But it's all just a mind game, really. Just
Yeah,
know when to pass, know when to shoot, know when to do like every little thing.
yeah. Are y'all soccer fans?
Yep.
Yeah, you like soccer? To
Uh,
me, basketball is like soccer on. I mean, basketball is like soccer on steroids.
yeah,
That's what I always viewed, because you
yeah,
have to like kind of prepare ahead. The way you're saying, like if you drive, okay, if they crash you, then you gotta look for the open man. Go
kick
out
out,
wing,
yeah,
go down to the block. So I think that's the way soccer is, right? Because you make
yeah,
that pass,
yeah,
okay, who's coming on you, who's
Yeah.
not, and then make your run. So it's tough though. It's tough. It's tough to, especially like you said, it's fast paced, and then to make the move from eighth grade basketball to varsity basketball, there's
Yeah.
a big
yeah,
gap,
Crazy.
huge gap.
yeah. There
So the
is.
And you
fact that
better
you were
be
able to
thanking God for
adjust
that
it.
growth spurt too.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'11".
And how tall were you before?
Eighth grade, I
Five
think
four.
I was 5'6".
Dang, dude.
Or no. I was actually like
No, you were
5'5", maybe like 5'4".
super short.
It's in the pictures. I know that I was taller than him at a point.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
you
taller
do
than
have
all
one.
of them at a point, but now I'm the shortest, unfortunately.
Let's see. Yeah, that's true. Hold on, let me
It's in
adjust
there
this here.
somewhere.
You can't get worse than me. In seventh grade, I was 5 foot exactly. Believe it or not.
Let's go here. Let me see. I gotta run through them. I didn't get the video though. I would have
Oh,
appreciated
man.
seeing y'all race. I think I'm going backwards on this one, right?
You might be.
Yeah. All
Oh,
right, look
wow.
at that.
Oh,
It's the
We're
beginning.
not started.
Yeah, that's right.
wow.
But man, dude, were they hanging, like having you hang on a pole on the rim or something? That
I
5
know it's
inches?
somewhere.
Jeez.
There
All right,
you go.
there
There.
it is.
There you go.
Look at that.
There it is.
Dude.
Yeah.
Look at
I,
my
wa-
bro.
I was tiny.
5'5" ain't super short. It is, bro. It is. We're a short family. And everybody knows. Everybody's like, "How tall is your family?" I'm like, "Well, just put it. I'm 5'6". I'm the tallest, so it's not all that. Don't. I was like, my family's really small. So we're really hoping my kids get my wife's side. My wife is 5'4", but her
Mm.
siblings are like 5'8",
Mm.
5'10". I think
Oh
one's 6 foot.
wow.
So yeah, so she's a little runt, but she's
Ah.
definitely the firecracker. She keeps them all in line. Yeah.
Sounds
So I was
like
like,
me.
yeah, I was like, you're definitely the older sibling, same as me. Yeah, but that's what's funny. That's everybody's like, oh yeah, so are you like the shortest? I'm like, no. I was like, it's actually worse. I was like, I'm the tallest. But that growth spurt will help you, dude. I mean, but still, the pace
Yeah.
is it'll
Getting
one day you'll come back for an alumni game and you'll see that you
yeah.
you were you were in a very very quick environment in your high school career.
Just getting used to the pace was really like everything. Cause once you like get used to it, everything that you have, all like your skills and everything, that'll come with it. Like as long as you know, okay, like you can't really play with fear. You can't. You just
Hmm.
gotta go out there and just know, okay, whoever I'm playing, is it the worst team in the district, the best team in the district? You just gotta give it all 100%, and just not be fearful, put all faith in God, and just let him do the rest.
Absolutely. So, what about your endurance? Was that something that you had to kind of get used to, or would you say that you were? I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're young. You're young in high school. You should have all the energy in the world." But that's different. I'm sure
Yeah.
you could stay up all night, right, playing games or whatever, watching TV. But
Yes.
being able to run that long is different.
Yes. Okay. So my middle school years, my dad would always give me. He would be like, "Man, it's barely the. I got to your game. The first quarter's barely starting. You're already on. Your hands are already on your knees. You're gasping for air." I was like, and it would be after a game, like we win, and I'm like, okay, I'm about to eat. We're gonna have a great talk. He's like, like, what's wrong? Are you tired? I'm like, I mean, I guess I am. I don't see myself, but I would watch some games and I'd see myself. I'm like, I don't feel tired, but then in the games, I'm just like, I guess I look tired. And this year, it was just like, okay, just putting in the work,
Purely confidence too, right?
Basketball really is like skills, but then also you have to be endurance, like conditioning, and
Yeah.
that's also like a plays a big role. Like fourth quarter crunch time, that's where you're gonna have that advantage. You're just going. When others are tired, that's where the conditioning really helps, and that's what helped me this year. I would say I was pretty conditioned, but I mean, there's always room for improvement. So this year, that'll definitely be something that I work on.
Yeah, for sure. I know, man. Whenever I was in Laredo, we had a middle school coach. He was like sixth grade, and he would full court press the
Uh,
whole game, and it was just five. Like and he would keep it fresh. But before a practice, we were running like 2 miles just to start practice. So you'd go out and run. And you're like, oh my god, dude! Like, it'll weed out the people that basketball is just
yeah,
not for them.
yeah,
But
yeah,
to this day, I remember that coach, and I'm like, man, like, back then we're like, this is dumb. Like, what are we doing? Like, this ain't track or this ain't cross country. I'm like,
yeah.
but then, once we started getting in the games, it was like, oh, dude, like we're running circles around these guys. Like,
Yeah.
to even say like we weren't the best shooters. Like of course, we'd take forever running, and then to
Mhm.
come in and shoot was cutting our practice. But just the fact that we could run around teams, he's like, hey, just trust me, the rest will fall into place, and then you're like, oh shoot, like this dude's he's not lying, and it worked out, and sure enough, like he's like, okay, now that y'all look like y'all can run 2 miles, like now let's still work on shooting, and he was brutally honest. He'd be like, look, I think like in middle school I was like 5 foot or whatever, and he's like, look, you're
Mm.
not like my team. It was crazy, it was insane. My teammates were all, or our starting five, there was not one kid under 5'10" in middle school, seventh grade. I was like, Jesus, like what are we doing? So he'd tell me like, look, these guys got your back. They're gonna be posts. You need to learn to shoot a 3-point ball. And I was like, all right, whatever. But
Yeah.
the time I would appreciate him, right? Because I'm like, okay, I can run around anybody at this point. And then I got to Cotulla and it was the same thing. And it was like Garza and Randy were like, if you're
Yeah.
tired, you're not going to, especially being Cotulla. I think my freshman team was 6 players. So he's like, dude, like if you're sucking wind, like you're not going to help us out. And he was in your team.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So to this day, a lot of people are like, oh, why do you condition so much? Basketball will, to me, having the endurance is most important in basketball than
Yeah.
probably
Anything
every
else.
non-running sport.
Yeah. It does play a big part in games, for sure.
So let's go to setbacks and kind of y'all going through adversity. Aaliyah, you shared that you had iron deficiency anemia, correct?
I did. I did.
How did that impact you emotionally first, if you don't mind me starting off with?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Well, I mean, and so really, let me give like a background description on that. Like,
Yes, please.
I didn't find out that I was iron deficient until let me see, it was my junior year. We had found out towards like the end of the fall when the season was pretty much already over. I wasn't able to compete during my sophomore or junior season. I was basically just like train. So I would like train, still go to practice every morning, get there by like five about 5:50 because we'd start practice at like 6. And so I'd still show up with my teammates, and I was still able to like train, maybe not as hard as I am now, or with as high of mileage as I am now.
Hmm.
But I was still able to compete and stuff. It's just when I would get into races, it was just hard for me to like compete. I felt almost like super duper anxious on the starting line because all I could think about was like, man, how far am I gonna make it in the race versus like now this previous season I was like, man, how much am I gonna PR by, And so that was just the goal. That was just the goal. And so of course, it was hard. It was definitely hard. And like I said, it it was it took a lot from me. It took a lot from me, and honestly, it drained me. It drained me spiritually. It drained me spiritually. And honestly, I did it to myself. I'll say that because anything that you put before God is an idol, and and He'll. I mean, just as He gives, He can take away, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so anybody and everybody knows that running it means the world to me. It's my greatest passion. I'll never stop pursuing it ever because obviously it's God gifted talent. I wouldn't be here without him or without it.
Sorry.
And so I got to a point. Where I almost had like an identity crisis because I was putting all of my like worth in running. Like I was allowing that to kind of define who I was because I'm a runner. Like that's what I'm known as. I'm known as like the distance girl or and so without it, I was when I can like compete competitively like I was in like high school and in middle school and stuff with no problem. I was just kind of like, man, what who even am I? And so that's when I knew that became bigger than Jesus Christ, and obviously it was my fault. And so he definitely put me through the fire, trials and tribulations, and obviously iron deficiency anemia came with it when I got because let me take it back some more. So in high school, I wasn't running as high of mileage because I was just training for the 2 mile. Not that I wasn't doing. I was probably doing about like anywhere from like 20 to 30 mile weeks. I didn't know anything about these 50-mile weeks until I jumped into college. I got there freshman year. Was recruited by Coach Jeremy Province, and that's when he was and I was kind of surprised. I told him I was like I'm kind of surprised that you recruited me because all I knew how to run was a 2 mile, and yeah, I knew 5K was just another 1.1, another mile 0.1. But little did I know that extra mile was gonna take work to get used to because you think about it in high school, you're like, man, what's another mile, and that's how I
Yeah.
thought all the time until I got to the collegiate level freshman year, and man, the extra mile means everything. Okay, just learning how to train to like endure, because I was just used to giving it everything I had for 2 miles, and no, now you've got to like there's got to be a strategy because you're running for longer. And so I just had to learn, how to pace myself better, how to go at that like tempo pace, get out quick and finish fast. That's still to this day how I race. And so during that time period, I remember during practices, I was unable to at times to finish running the mileage. I just felt so out of breath. I was short of breath, and I almost became like super duper restless. And I remember Coach Robbins, pulling me to the side and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, "No, Coach, I just there's something super like heavy. I just feel this heaviness, and I couldn't figure it out." And so he pulled me to the side and was like, we're gonna run all these tests. I'm gonna get in contact with Matt, who was our and Cody Parton, our athletic trainers. And so I went and got all these tests done. I got my echocardiogram, I got my pulmonary function test, and glory be to God that I didn't have any like cardiac conditions, didn't have any
Yeah.
pulmonary conditions. I really had nothing wrong with me, and so I was just kind of frustrated at the fact that I was still unable to compete. I was out of breath all the time. I was restless, and I was like, I'm training good. Like I feel okay during practice, but when I would step on the line and go compete, I couldn't finish races to save my life. And so I almost just felt like a part of me was just taken away from me, and it was hard. Like it was just hard to sit out, and I just remember being there and like having some nights where I would cry, myself to sleep and just be like, man, like, how did I get to like this point, where I almost wanted to question Jesus and be like, where are you? I'm just being honest, I'm giving
Yeah.
you everything that I've got, and so yeah, I got to that point where I basically was called unpredictable. Because obviously I couldn't finish races, and so I would get an 800-meter in, and then I would crash, and they would have to call the ambulances. I'm pretty sure the paramedics knew me on a first name basis after all the times I got rushed to the hospital. Sense of humor, right? Um, but yeah, no, it was difficult because I had built up like with that I had built up like a fear of racing because it was ugly, to pass out and just not know, like, because when I would finally come into realization that I was in the hospital would be when I was already like, I had all the IV lines. They were running like the normal saline already, and they had the blood pressure cuff on, everything on, and so nobody could figure it out. Nobody could figure it out, and then it came down to later in that junior cross country season where um, I had gotten taken to the hospital there at North Alabama Medical Center, and I had this nurse practitioner. Can't remember his name. I'm not good with names. I'm good with faces. I'm pretty sure he's probably not there anymore. Super duper sweet. He came in and was like, "Hey, is anybody taking blood work from you?" And it was I remember Nikki Bonzel being there right beside me, and then what is her name? Debbie. She's like our athletic kind of like not advisor, but she runs. She helps out with all of our athletic programs, and so she was there too. And I remember him coming in and just being like, "Hey, is anybody draw blood?" And I was like, "No, nobody's taking blood." Nothing like that. I was still kind of out of it. And he's like, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do that. We're gonna check your hemoglobin, you and Tokrit, and we're gonna see if there's anything wrong with your iron." And I was like, "Okay." And so sure enough, he came back about, I'd say, 45 minutes to an hour later, and that's when he was like, "Hey, your iron's low. We gotta take care of that." And so I remember him saying, "Hey, we're gonna get you started on some supplements. Just promise me that you'll take it. I can assure you that you'll, begin to feel better." And of course, like, yes, I did follow along with like, the prescription that he gave me, and I was taking my iron and all this stuff, and I did feel better because as all like aerobic athletes, especially those in like who are running like ultra marathons and stuff, like it takes a toll on the body.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
And so what happens with iron deficiency anemia is that your bone marrow is unable to produce enough hemoglobin and these healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen throughout your body. So that's where I was feeling out of breath and stuff like that. But honestly, like for me, just because I knew where my stand with Jesus was spiritually. Um, it was just I was just drained, and so I knew that it was first and foremost a spiritual problem. I was chasing after something other than who I should have been chasing after the whole time, and just incorporating him more into my daily walk with him than I was putting running first, and so yeah, it did become, it's like running became an idol, God with a little G. And so I had to change, I had to change that around and, realign myself and kind of just take a step back and say, hey, you know what? Like, I used to be so much closer with you, Jesus. This is me, talking to him. I was like, I just want to get back to the point where I was I think it was my sophomore or junior year of high school. I was in the Word every day. I was journaling every day. I was going to him first if I had any problems, or just about anything. I felt like I just had like that a connection with him, and it almost felt like it was kind of like I'm the one who let it slip out of my hands. And so, you know, he'll always bring you to your lowest of lows to bring you back to the place where you need to be. And this is for all the young athletes out there. I'm speaking on behalf of the Holy Spirit. Like, man, I feel like Jesus, has a word for the young athletes. Just don't get too caught up in your passion to the point where you get so caught up in trying to go after the gift that Jesus gave you, but then you lose sight of what's right in front of you. That's right. And that's what you were saying earlier. You're losing focus on putting your faith and your trust and your worth in me, and you're wanting to, you're wanting to do too much alone when all you have to do is just come to me like you used to, and I'll take care of, I'll take up your burdens, and then the rest is pretty much history. So yeah, even though yes, I did get that report back, and we took it, and I started taking my iron and stuff. I just knew deep down in my heart that this was just deeper than the surface, than the physical aspect. It was spiritual for me, because when I came back home, after competing that spring and stuff. I know this is long,
No, you're good.
but
Don't worry.
I feel like people need to hear it. During the spring, because that's when I was having to supplement myself with the iron, and get my spiritual walk back in line. Um, it took a toll on me, because I was not. I felt like the passion was almost stripped from me, like running, like the motivation that I had was stripped from me, and of course I had to get to that point to get to where I previously was this past fall. And I mean, to God be all the glory for that, because that was like the most memorable season I got to have with my group of seniors that I came in with, and so. Yeah, I got home, and I remember, coach, actually our second coach, because we had Jeremy Province, and then we had another coach, and he ended up leaving. So we were pretty much on our own, and we didn't have anybody to really send the training plan to. And so it's kind of hard, to navigate that without a coach. And so I was like, man, our coach has left. I really can't. I'm not even motivated to run anymore, and I'm really not as focused as I used to be in class. And so, because of all this, and so I was just so unmotivated to the point where I was like, you know what? For the first time ever, and all honest to God, he knows it, obviously. And so I got to a point where I was like, I just want to quit. And
Wow.
yeah, and thank God I didn't, because honestly, like, if I did, like, all the previous decade of running and everything would have gone to waste. And so I didn't quit. I kept going. The Lord was like, I'm not done with you yet. And so trained all throughout the summer without the coach. I just had my athletic academic advisor, Sherry Kennemer. Glory be to God for her. She's amazing, has taken care of everything academically for me and athletically for all of me and my teammates. she's the one who would send us like workouts, and we knew that we were getting a new coach, Coach Callahan now. Awesome, young, like motivated individual. He is the greatest blessing that this UNA cross country program could have ever received.
Amen.
And I don't know, it's just because he's very like youthful, like he can relate to us. He's been through what we've been through, and I feel like that's what we needed all along. And so yeah, so then I came back onto campus, met him on a Zoom call, me and all my girl teammates. And then so we're going back to campus, and was training, working under him, still trying to get used to like the new training regimen, because it's different for all the coaches. Some like higher mileage, some like more to incorporate more tempo work, fartleks, stuff like that. And so we got back to training, and man, I was just so motivated. Like I was working with my best friend all the time, my teammate Gracie Matthews, and of course Noah Bonzel, my boyfriend, who's on the UNA cross country team also. They had been with me there through all like the hard times, all the difficult times, all the lows to lows. So I do have to give a shout out to them as well. And the season was history, because for the first time I knew freshman year, my PR in the 5K was like a 21 something. And I was like, man, this is really bad for like a D1 cross country, women's athlete. This is really, really bad, because I held myself to higher standards, and so I just knew that there was still untapped potential, and thank God that there was, because I got to run my 5K PR this previous season. I finally got to go to conference, got to compete in the regional meet there in Tallahassee, Florida, on the greatest course. I got to run in Missouri. I know y'all,
Mizzou.
the boys, or Mizzou, sorry, yes. And it had that big old SEC logo, man, like the magnitude of just, like, I feel like I almost took like the first couple of seasons for granted, but this one, like, there was just something different, something changed, like, I was appreciating everything, like all the little moments, like, man, this is my last, season.
Uh-oh.
Level before, of course, pro and all that stuff, like just being able to compete, like I said again, against like the SEC best, and just learning how to become a better athlete, both physically, spiritually, mentally. Like there's just, I feel like that sums up pretty much in a nutshell. It all starts spiritually, and then it affects you, physically, emotionally, and financially, yeah, and financially, with all the hospital visits that I had, obviously I probably broke the bank already. Not literally, but like just having a sense of humor. My mom can attest to that, because she's the one who went to all the hospital visits with me. So yeah.
So, how do you, I guess, get your iron levels up? Where you said supplements, but is it just like a straight up like an iron pill, or
Yeah.
how does that work?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
they even did to, and in iron supplements, like pills in the pill form, it does not take, it takes like about 3 months, to really
See the result?
start to see the result from that. Yeah, it does not work overnight, just like anything else. It takes time, and so yeah.
So you were on so you're on supplements to get your iron levels kind of back to normal.
Back to normal. Yeah.
Okay. And how'd you regain yourself spiritually? What was your
Just
supplement
by,
there?
I mean, there's really no secret. Just praying that the Lord would have, restore, renew, refresh, and just give me another opportunity to go out there and give it everything I got.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Especially iron is such a key part in your body that I guess not a people realize it until it kind of affects them. But for you to be able to compete and run the distances that you do while being iron deficient, that's tough.
Right.
So what about you, Raeann? Like how would you manage injuries, and when it's how do you defer, like when it's time for you to rest, or versus kind of to push through it?
Okay, So I would always say, listen to your body. Number one, I was probably the worst person at that. I never wanted to listen. Like I said, I'm very competitive. I wanted to fight through it all, but little did I know I was tearing up my body. And by the end of the season, I could only hold on so long. And I learned that my freshman year of college, of D1 track. And I wasn't listening to my body. I was pushing through. I had a really bad problem with my shins. My shins were horrible, shin splints. Anybody who knows that is like the
Ooh.
worst pain ever. And so, especially being a sprinter, you're having to put all your force into the ground, so it hurt even worse. But I wouldn't listen to my body. Obviously, I went to the trainer, got treatment every now and then, but I really wasn't listening. I didn't stop, and I mean, I was a hard head, I could say. I really was. And so, I knew going into this next season, I was like, I can't let this happen again. I can't. I have to listen to my body. If I feel something's off, like, it's not gonna make me any less than anybody else because I'm doing what's right for me and for my team. Because why am I gonna go put myself out there knowing I can't give my best to my team? And so that was just one thing I took into consideration. Me and my coach talked about it a lot. Just give your best effort, and if you feel something off, you need to talk to me. So it's really good. I have an amazing coach. Shout out to my coach, Coach Hughes, which is a sprints coach at Oral Roberts. He's an amazing coach. Probably the best in the whole nation, I have to say, because the secret is a lot of people just want you for your athletics, you as an athlete, but not you as a person. And he is all about you as a person as well. And so I'm just really blessed and grateful. But yeah, back to the injuries thing. This year I suffered a lot of injuries. I went through a lot. The Lord put me through a lot of tests, and just same with her, I really drifted off. I veered off, and a lot of people may say like, wow, how did you do that at a Christian university? But it's possible. It really is. And I drifted off a lot. I was putting track before. I was putting everything else, school, everything, all my stress and everything before him. And I actually suffered. It was at her meet in Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah.
It was at her meet. I love my siblings. I love my siblings to death, and I'm blessed to have siblings like them. And she was actually running, and like she says, she's not ever sure if she's gonna finish the race or not. Glory to God, she did, but it didn't look like it in my eyes. So I took off running. I took off jogging over to her to the finish line, and sure enough, I hit it like a hole, and my ankle just popped. And I knew from there, I knew it was over. And so I never got no imaging or nothing like that done, but I knew that it was a setback for a reason, and it was to get myself aligned right with Christ again. And sure enough, I did, but it wasn't his plan for me to run this year. That's why I'm saying I am a freshman. Well, no, I want to be a sophomore this year on the track because I redshirted. I actually redshirted this season because I wasn't able, because I actually suffered 2 ankle sprains back to back. And if anybody has ever been through that, you cannot just go back because your ligaments are all over the place. Like, you don't know what's going on. And so yeah, I took rehab very seriously. I went to the trainers literally every day. I lived in the trainer's room. I actually have a trainer plan still right now. Just listening to my body. That's all. Even through the summer, whenever I'm not over there and don't have anybody to hold me accountable, I still just take initiative and listen to my body. If I feel something's off, I won't overdo it. I'll do what I need to do, stretch or whatever, and then that's it. So yeah, I think the key thing is just to listen to your body. That's number one. Even if you want to push through it, don't. You're only going to make yourself worse, and at the end of the day, you're not going to do anything for yourself or for your team because you're not giving your best. So why not step back, breathe, just rest, do what you have to do, and let God handle the rest. So
Yeah, absolutely. So are y'all in the same conference, or how'd y'all end up in?
no, we're
okay.
not. She's in the Athletic Sun Conference, and I'm in the Summit League.
Okay. Here we got a question from my little brother again. Was there ever criticism between each other, and how did y'all take it?
Okay, I think we gave each other pointers here and there. I think me and Aaliyah could say, sorry, boys. Me and Aaliyah take criticism the best, and I think it's because our dad was really hammered us with the criticism, and so we just take it very well. They do as well, don't get me wrong, but I think it's kind of hard to hear it from each other because we're just like, really, like, you just want to make fun of me or all this stuff, but excuse me, I'm so sorry. But yeah,
The criticism, I think, for me and Oscar, since we're both boys, I think my dad, he was a little bit harder on us, but it was just to get us like better. He never meant anything like in a wrong way to get us like mad or anything. He just wanted to see the better in us because he knew what he can get out of us. And I feel like definitely he was way harder on me and Oscar, but it was only for good reasons.
But once you know it, yeah. Yeah. What was your
Absolutely.
share?
It's always gonna be a little rough for the boys.
Yeah.
Oscar, so you had a back strain right before the season
Yep.
started. What did it teach you about patience? Then going through the recovery process and just trusting the process in general.
Yeah, what sucked the most is that nobody knew.
Okay.
Nobody knew,
So-
other than my mom. She was the only one that I told. And this was about, I'd say, less than a month out from the first meet. And it was unfortunate, man, because the football was done already. I think it had just hit January, about mid-January. So we're already starting like the conditioning. I guess for football they start conditioning, strength and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And so we're all lined up on the field, and of course, Coach Rodriguez will have the skills and he'll have the linemen split and do like some sprints or whatever. And I believe it was a track workout, if I'm not mistaken. The football players, they go out there in their cleats, and then the off-season, the group, me and my brother and of course our friends are on flats. And man, like I couldn't even sprint at 30% if I tried, and it was unfortunate. And coach, there he is, and he's just looking, and then we're going, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. We're running like 40-yard sprints, and everyone's going 100%, which is what he wanted us to do. And man, I'm so far behind. He was like, "Man, Oscar, you need to pick it up, son." Um, if he's watching this, he's probably laughing and smiling, going like this right now. But nah, he was like, "You need to pick it up, man. You should be faster than all these guys. You should be up there." And I hadn't told him that I had this back strain injury. Obviously, no one knew. And I broke the silence. I told him what was wrong, and I went to the chiropractor, and it was feeling better, but it was still there. And it was probably a week before we did runoffs to see who would make the relay team. And man, I was like discouraged. I was like, man, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do this. When I was taking ibuprofen, and what sucks for me is I can't swallow pills. I can't do it. I can't do it. And so I had to chew on the ibuprofen pill. Man, it tasted like it's horrible. It's horrible. I can't swallow pills to save my life. But long story short, runoffs happened, made the team. The back strain healed completely, thank God. And after we were done with the season, it was probably 2 weeks after it came back, and I was I was cooked, man. I couldn't even move. I think it happened again after graduation. Man, I don't know if it was just because I'm old now, but
Whoa.
but yeah, man. But no, it's back to 100%, and yeah, just all about patience and timing and listening to your body, of course.
Absolutely. So what's your strategy, dude? Whenever you gotta take it, so you chew all of them?
Yeah,
All your pills?
yeah.
You
Sometimes,
don't-
like if it'll be
It's
like ibuprofen, and then it'll be like these little capsules that you obviously you can take them
Yeah.
apart, and you'll just pour them on a spoon. So what my mom does, she'll get like some sugar, and then some faucet water, and then I'll just take the tablespoon. That's how it'll go, man.
No.
You got
Horrible,
you got a
man.
hooper right there, dude. Let him just shoot it to the back of the throat and just
Man,
slam some water right.
dude, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Oh man, that's too funny. That's horrible at the same time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
That's part of. There you go. There's trusting the process.
Yeah.
That tastes like rocks. Like it tastes like horrible. It's like this drained salt, like salt with no flavor, but it's just there, like you're eating chalk almost.
Yeah.
Like you're just
yeah.
eating chalk, man. It's horrible.
Man. So Jordan, you've seen your siblings face adversity. What lessons have stuck with you, about durability and mental focus, especially, being the younger one?
From all the moments, I would say, man, there's a lot. I really gotta think on this one. Just, I think the most I've learned is just like, man, just stay, the dedication and everything, the hard work, like seeing them, it just like motivates you. It just seeing how they work every time. Like you go to a practice, you'll see them and they're just 100%. Whatever they do, when no one's watching, they're just there, and like it gives you a motivation, and just knowing I'm their sibling, and it's the greatest feeling ever. And like moments where you learn is going to like the state meet. The state meet, man, it was great. Always going to Austin and just seeing all the comp that was there, and just knowing that my sisters or my siblings were amongst like the top in the state was it will always be a learning lesson, and just always just it'll always stick with me for sure.
That's good. That's good that you're taking from them and not being. I wouldn't. I mean, I'd say I think to me arrogance is good. It's always good to have, and it's to a certain level. But to the fact that
Yeah.
you're taking from each one, you're gonna have this bank, that's huge compared to what they got.
Yeah. That's like the
So
best. That's the best like pro about being the youngest. You get to learn
yeah,
from all of them.
definitely, you get to walk their path while still being able to veer off on your own,
Yeah,
if we have to put
exactly.
it right. So now, let's talk legacy. Aaliyah, you still have a final cross country season, correct? Or are you
I do.
done? You do. Okay,
I
so you
do. I
still have
have
a.
one more season.
Okay, so what's one goal that you're chasing before you're done?
Ooh, that's that's awesome. Man, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I would love, honestly, I would love to just be able to place like in the in both like my conference and regional meets to the point where we can get our team like on the meet, like on the meet on the map. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about the meet status, but yes, no, just to just being able to see like the other teams that place there, they get like conference champions, and they get the like cool little like hats, and then they get the big old like trophy and plaques. Like I would
Hmm.
just love to like bring that back to like campus, and just continue to build the legacy and the foundation for the future teams to come and the future generations. That's honestly where my heart is set, and just to just having that opportunity to compete amongst the best of the best is always even make it to nationals. That would be awesome. And I know it's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a lot of work. It's gonna take what it's gonna take. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this last season the best one yet.
That's awesome, and that's something that we look forward to possibly seeing. Do they air like your meets? How does it work? That's the thing where
They
I don't know about Kalik. I'm sure there's cameras
Yeah.
everywhere now.
No, they do. Yeah, no, and you're right, I feel like they're up to speed now, like with the social media like platforms. I know they're at the Mizzou meet. That's like a really really big meet.
Hmm.
So they will usually air it on
ESPN?
ESPN. Yeah,
Okay,
ESPN
yeah, like
Plus.
SEC network, right? They got their own
Oh
kind
yeah,
of. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And you'll be able to
Yeah.
see like it's cool because like you'll be able to see like the packs, of like the athletes running. Usually you'll have your top dogs at the front. And
Hmm.
so you'll see those come in, across the finish line. You'll be able to see the stats and just like how their overall like how their overall like time
The
is and
points.
like how
Oh,
they're
okay,
running
okay, I
their
got you.
Ks, stuff like that. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, yeah.
You
So
definitely
they
got to
are
share that with us. Yeah.
no for
We
sure.
keep track
Yes.
of it. Keep track of it. So, like when you win conference, right? Of course, you get like the cool gear. Do
The
you all get
gear,
hardware?
yeah.
Do you get like? Will they give you a ring, or do you get the opportunity to
Yeah, conference champion. In conference, yes, yes, yes,
conference?
yes.
Okay,
At
that
conference, you do if you of course like
win it,
win as
right?
a,
You
as a
win it
team,
all.
because now you're running, when I mean of course like now more you run and compete with the team. I think it's
Hmm.
top five. The top five from like every team. Let's just say women's, men's, doesn't matter. Like as long as your top competitors are obviously within like the like top I guess top 10 or you know whatever. As long as they're close to each other, like they're usually the ones who win the conference because it's usually top. You know, they're all running back to back. They're the team, the squad. So
Okay.
that's
So
what
and it's kind of
it's
it's
just
kind of like high school too, right? Like a point system. Like if
yeah
first place
yeah yeah
holds certain points, and okay,
yeah
that'd be
yeah.
pretty cool. Hopefully you do. Hopefully we'd love to see you win conference and bring some bling home. Show it off.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
awesome. That would be awesome.
Both of y'all, all of y'all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So let's see, Raeann. You know what? How do you hope to grow as a D1 sprinter and future sports agent? And how do you plan to merge athletics and leadership?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, wow, that was really good. Okay, so if many don't really know because, like I said, my school doesn't really get put out there too much. But as a freshman, my coach thought that I was showing the leadership status, so I got put into a leadership academy amongst my school. Mind you, there was upperclassmen like the eighth year people, the seniors. You know, there was really no freshmen, and so I was like, oh my goodness. But it just like changed the game for me. It was like, man, I really do like, you know, you never boast about yourself. You always want people to tell you that, man, you carry yourself great. You don't want to be the one telling, yeah, I carry myself like this, or yeah, I'm good at this. Like, no, you want the people to tell you. That's how it should be, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, that's how I knew. I was like, okay, I give the leadership, you know, what would you say, like effect or, yeah, like you gave off leader.
You got that aura.
And I just took that. I took that with me. I was like, okay, that's what I really show, especially at B1 level. I was like, I have to take that with me. And so this past year, I was actually the co-captain of my track team. Again, the youngest captain on the team.
Nice.
I mean, I don't take it for granted at all. I don't take it for granted at all. I know that a lot of people are looking up to you, no matter how old you are. People look up to you. There's kids that I've seen amongst the world doing amazing things. I look up to them. I'm like, wow. Like, there's a 13-year-old running like a 51 400. That's unheard of. Like
She
that.
just ran a 22 today.
Yeah, and she just ran her 22 and the 200. I was like, wow. Like
Golly.
they're doing amazing things.
That makes us men want to just tap out and quit.
Yeah, no lie, dude.
No, but in all seriousness, yeah, the leadership stuff like that is definitely gonna help me in the long run. And I know if I already give off leader to some people, I'm gonna give off leader to the rest of the people. So it's just staying humble and staying true to what God has given me and like the gift He's given me. And I really feel like with Him and just putting Him first, He's gonna guide me to do great things.
Absolutely. And sports agent, I mean, I think a lot of people just kind of think like, oh, you're just over there like negotiating contracts. But I think in the long run, that like the important thing is like to me I think sports agent, I think like Patrick Mahomes kind of
Yeah.
the dude. Like Patrick Mahomes, a lot of people hate him. I hate him, but for a different reason. I just hate how much he wins, and it's not for my team. But you know, looking at him as a person, Steph Curry's the same way, right? Like I'm not a big fan of. I'm a fan of the guy, but I hate him when he plays the Spurs.
Yeah.
But you see guys like that, and you think of like their sports agents, and like, okay, they allow those guys to be humble on the biggest stage, and they put their message out. And like I think Curry's biggest deal with like Nike and Adidas was not being able to put a scripture on his shoe.
Yep.
So that's originally why he went to
With Under Armour.
So I mean, you
Yes.
think about guys like that, and like the sports agent of itself. Like, yeah, you're there to keep your person a person and not just that number. You're not just a
Exactly.
figure. So
Exactly.
that's you know, you have to be a leader in that role. So I mean, you're on the right path.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So Oscar, you know, you just finished high school. So what legacy is, or you know, what are you hoping that your legacy was left behind?
Someone that basically came as this person, as this freshman with literally no talent, zero talent. To be honest, it was just all hard work and perseverance. I bet the younger generation out there has heard it from their parents a million times. If you just put in the work, it'll come true. But it still stands true to this day. If you just put your head down and have a great support system like how I do.
Yeah.
you can the how can I say this? The limits are endless. You know, the only stumbling block that you can put is yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, just I just hope and pray that the younger generation just sets their mind to something that they want to do, whether that's becoming a petroleum engineer, whether that's getting to the moon or getting to Mars as well. We're not too far
Yeah,
from
no,
that.
for sure.
But yeah, if you put your mind to something, just you can do it, you can achieve it. You just got to put in the extra hours whenever no one's watching, and whenever it's time to compete and go out there and fight, you'll be in first place, baby. Come on.
Yeah, and that's what and that's what something everybody has to hear because there's growing up and still to this day, being a little peewee coach and seeing some kids, you'll run into some kids who are just
Yeah.
naturally talented.
Of course.
And today, funny enough, I actually saw a quote, and it says, "Talent, talent will get you to the door. Hard work will get you through."
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So that's something that now I'm like, wow, like I've never heard of it like that. Like, and it's the truth, right? Because you do have to, and you can build your talent, but you have to have talent in order to get
Yes.
to somewhere. So,
Of course.
hearing it coming from you, future collegiate athlete, or amongst collegiate athletes, I mean,
Yep.
you're a testament. So
Yeah,
now,
amen.
last, Mr. Jordan, you set your high goals for this. Oh, here we go. We got your stats. You set your high goals for basketball season: 350 points, 150 assists, and a winning record. What drives you to chase those numbers, and what's your plan to hit them?
What set what sets those goals is from last year, and just knowing everything I can do. I know I can hit those goals. I just gotta work, trust God, and everything will come. And I know I can hit those things because all last season, I mean, I wouldn't say I was at the best of my um, basketball like ability that I've been, and just knowing that I'm already way better than I was a couple months ago to now, and I still have a couple of more months to just improve and improve. I know I can hit those milestones, and soon 1,000 points.
Yep.
There you go. Like I said, we're waiting on. You have to let us know when you hit that milestone. We'd like to
Yes,
celebrate
sir.
it on here.
Yes, sir.
So now here's a group question. In 5 years, what do you want the Charo name to represent in Cotulla and beyond? Everywhere that you all are making your mark. What's something, or what do you hope people feel when they hear it?
Who wants to answer first?
You go ahead if you want.
Okay, I would say that I really pray that the Charo name is known not just for the talent, but for the heart, our faith, and our leadership. I want people to see our name and think of a family that works hard and stays grounded in Christ. And we put Him first in everything we do. Nothing that we do would be possible without Him. And I feel like we can never take the glory for ourselves, and we prove that all the glory is for Him. And I feel like that's what I really want to leave as a Charo name and as our family. And whether that's through records, championships, or just how we carry ourselves, I really pray that we leave a legacy that's just bigger than track. And basketball. And basketball. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Anybody want to add on? Or she hit the nail?
I think she hit the nail right on the head, man.
Come on.
Definitely.
All right. So one of my favorite questions it kind of just happened naturally, right? But
Yep.
one of my favorite questions that I enjoy asking all my my podcast guests is, what's something that, or if you had any advice for your younger self, what would it be? Because this would reflect for like our young viewers, the kiddos that are, especially I
Yeah.
like it for my Pee Wee program, because one day I'll make a little collage and share all these answers with them just so they know. So what would your advice be for your younger self and younger viewers?
Okay, do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so one thing that my dad always says is, can anything good come out of Cotulla? And yes, it sure can. It sure can. No matter, even though we're very small, I think we've built something incredible, all thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Of course.
none of it would have been possible without him. So I would just tell my younger self, don't ever give up. Never give up, no matter what you go through, no matter what you face. Never ever give up, because you're keep going, because your greatest blessing is on the other side of your if. Like if your one breakthrough, your breakthrough is how do you say it? Your breakthrough is on the other side of your if. So if you keep saying if, you keep putting but, you're blocking God's blessing. But if you just let that go and let God, you're gonna jump right through.
You're one step away from your breakthrough. That's
Yeah,
it.
That's it.
Don't
I
quit.
like that. I
Don't ever
like that.
quit. Yeah.
that a
One thing that I would tell my younger self is, man, just keep your circle very small, man. You know, going into high school, you know, I didn't know that I wouldn't have the same friends in high school. You know, the same friends I had in middle school, they were gone. You know, the next 4 years. So yeah, just keeping your circle really, really small. Know who your real friends are, and of course, you know, never lose faith in God, and just let Him lead you in the righteous path, man. And just to all the kids out there who are, you know, sometimes have doubts of, you know, maybe they have a bad game and they're, you know, just there's naysayers out there. Whether you have a good game or a bad game, just always go to the Bible and just, you know, close your eyes,
Yeah.
flip to the pages, and whatever verse you land on, just read that entire chapter, and just never lose that faith, and never lose trust and hope in God, because He's always got you.
Awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
Aaliyah?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wrote it down here on my iPad. I put, so for young athletes who have a dream to become collegiate athletes, it's important to first and foremost be coachable.
Of course.
It's a given that your talent will, of course, get you there, like we were saying, but your attitude is what keeps you there. And then second, of course, building good studying and training habits early on. It's not about being perfect; it's about being disciplined. And then third, get comfortable with the recruiting process. Don't wait for coaches to find you. Send the emails, send the highlights, and updates, especially through platforms like NCSA. We pretty much all use that.
Yeah, we
get
all
the
use it.
exposure that you need. So I recommend you young athletes that are right now in, you know, even middle school and then early on, like freshman year of high school, like to, you know, get this started, get your parents to help you with the app, and you reach out to those collegiate coaches. And then lastly, just stay connected to the love of the sport. If it ever begins to feel like a chore, take a little break and reset. And just know that ultimately your passion, your faith, and perseverance is what will sustain you through the ups and downs that you'll definitely go through.
That's right.
So that's my advice.
Awesome. I'm sorry I keep doing this to you, Jordan, but what's your advice? I mean, I always put you after your sibling. I should have put you first. Give you.
Yeah. My advice to my younger self would probably be just always just work hard. You know, put God first, and like I've been saying, just the rest will
Fall into place.
yeah, the rest will fall into place. You know, especially having like my three siblings around, they always made sure like okay, like especially like worth ethic, especially like that, they would always make sure like okay, we're good, but are you good? Like no slacking off 100%. Like anything you do, give it everything you got, and just don't forget about God.
Absolutely. Man, those are 4 great answers, and I really appreciate you. And like I said, this is just something, you know, I enjoy the whole podcast, but this little piece is always my favorite just to hear, because I do get, you know, of all things, I always share most, you know, I run clips, but this is like my one thing that for sure always goes out there, because first of all, it's easy to clip. Second of all, is that I think so many people just think, you know, like you said, we're small. You know, there's not that there's a lot of bad people here, but there's some people that will put in your head like, you're from Cotulla, you're not gonna get out of here. You know, regardless if you go, you're gonna come back, and even at that, there's nothing wrong with coming back. There's nothing wrong with this place. It's just how you make it. So I really appreciate y'all. I really appreciate y'all giving us that question. It was really
Oh,
appreciate
we
my brother
appreciate
comment.
We really
Oh,
appreciate it. Thank you. All glory to God.
So yeah, so all of y'all will have to share with us your meets, whatever
Of course.
whatever y'all can send me. Put it in that little chat we started. I would really enjoy watching y'all compete and just seeing and my wife is a witness, but I literally watch every sport. If track pops up, I do get to watch it. It's just very like seldom that they do, which is weird, right? Because to me it's competitive.
Yeah.
And to me, there's so much going on at the same, like you can never run out of, I guess, events just to put on the TV.
Yep.
So
Right.
it's strange to me that it's not there more.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
definitely share that with us. That way we can, like I said, I'll share it on here and we'll get to keep posted. And I think it's cool because I mean, just the other day, I think I saw Mr. Pablo, little Pablo.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Running. That was cool. That was cool to see and just see that kind of meet for kids. Before we go though, I mean, I'd like to share most of your clips or your pictures.
Yeah.
It was fun. The cool thing was you sent kind of like you growing up, like seeing like your
Yes.
little
That
track
was the
journey from the
goal.
beginning, and then
That
like
was the
seeing all your
goal.
siblings. So this right here, is this Austin? Is that where, or y'all said state's always in Austin? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
state meet right
That's a
there.
state meet, yeah.
Okay, so that's the goal to get to. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's me again at state.
That's at state.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wow. It's a clip. You look like you're in pain, but I'm sure.
Ah, there's my grandma.
Look, there's that growth spurt you're already hitting.
There
You're going, dude. You're going.
it
Look
is
at that.
again.
That's okay. So that's the same one, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the same meet again. That was
So-
my senior year.
Aaliyah, how far is the drive for you to make to go to that meet? Or would you fly?
Oh no, yeah. I would already pretty much like be home, cause we get done with like college, or I get done in early May, so I was already pretty much home for the state meet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so whenever you would travel to Cotulla, were you driving, flying?
Oh, I would drive home. My mom would, we would do the whole 16-hour drive from Florence, because it's pretty much
Crazy.
like, yes, even though it is in Alabama, it's North Alabama though, so I'm closer to like Nashville, Tennessee, if that puts it into perspective as
Yeah,
to why
so-
the drive is
yeah.
so long, Yeah.
Well, at least you got a lot of good sightseeing sites on the way. It's not like
Oh
it's
no, for
just
sure. Yeah.
boring. Go to West
Right.
Texas. That'll test you.
I'm okay.
Yeah, a lot of dirt, more
Right.
dirt.
Yeah.
This is a state meet as well?
Yeah, that's me and the state champion. Everybody knows her. Randolph's greatest, Taylor Nunez.
Wow.
Most decorated
Oh, okay,
Most
yes.
decorated athlete. Yeah.
Yep. Don't be surprised if you see her in the Olympics in
Oh,
the
yeah.
next couple of years.
Dude, that'd be awesome. And to have this picture.
Yeah. No, we're great friends. We still talk till this day. She's
Oh, okay.
awesome.
Where'd she
Very
end
humble.
up going to?
She's going to Texas A&M.
Oh, okay. She's okay.
Yes, sir.
Then your commitment. What was this process like? Did you go through it too, Aaliyah? Like where you got to visit schools and
No, I really didn't, because during that year it was like COVID year, so they really
Oh,
weren't
okay.
doing visits. I was just doing everything like on Zoom. And
Mhm.
so like with my recruiting process, it was actually just over a Zoom call. I didn't really go and visit campus at all. I just knew like that the Lord was leading me there, and for some reason, I was like, what, I'm gonna take the leap of faith and be the 15 to 16 hours away that I am, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
That's awesome. So for Raeann, how were they convincing you to pick their schools?
Yeah.
Don't bring.
No brainer. Of course, the first was a scholarship. That was the main thing. I knew that I had the potential, the God-gifted talent to get a full ride, and glory to God, I do. I do have a full ride. My parents don't have to pay a single penny out of their pocket. Glory to God that it's all covered. But I think the biggest thing, it was a no-brainer. Oral Roberts, man, you walk on that campus, you feel the Holy Spirit right away. Oh, there's the award really quick. That was the Leadership Academy Award I received
Oh,
my
okay.
freshman year. There it is.
That's pretty cool. The little
Yeah.
it's a compass, right? Is that what it is?
Yes, sir,
Cool.
yeah.
That's pretty dope.
But back to it. Yeah, it was just a no-brainer. I mean, the coach was great. Like I said, he's an amazing coach. I knew, I could feel it in my spirit that it was just right. He has a great spirit, a great heart. Wasn't just looking for me as an athlete, but as a person as well. And I really appreciated that more than anything else. So it was really a no-brainer for me.
That's cool. That's awesome to be able to or to feel that kind of feeling instead of them kind of like throwing Lamborghinis or something your way.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't. They knew my potential, but they never just were like this. Like no, I knew what I was there for, and it was because I wanted to grow my relationship with Christ. Number one, and then number two, obviously glorify him in athletics as well.
For sure.
Oh, there's me and my coach.
He's gonna be so mad that we have that picture.
He was
I think I saw
so
him
mad at me
comment.
that day.
He commented
He
earlier,
was-
right?
He was so mad at me that day because I made him do lunge holds with me, and anybody who knows, those suck. Those are painful. So.
And then we have a video from Aaliyah, right? Let's see if I
Yes.
got it to the stage. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
Oh, there you go. There's the
Sorry, now you were
Yeah, that was a
I think it came
homemade.
a little.
Yeah, that was a homemade. This previous season, actually, yeah, that was a clip that they got from there.
from me. Yeah.
So like real quick, 'cause I mean that's not just a watch. That's probably a heart monitor, right? Is that what that is? Or is it a watch?
No, I mean,
It's just your watch.
You're right though. It's just a watch, but it's everything though. Like it's got the heart rate monitor, GPS in there. You can
Oh,
swim,
okay.
you can bike, you can lift, like go, and it even tracks sleep, which is great. So-
It also tracks how much McDonald's hamburgers you can eat too.
it's super smart. I'm telling you, it's super smart. So yeah, it's an awesome watch. I recommend it. It's a Coros. I think Pace 3 or something like that, right, Mom? Yeah.
That's awesome. So I really appreciate y'all. And so now, just real quick, I gave the opportunity, right, for local small businesses to get a little shout out. Unfortunately, nobody really reached out, but your mom did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's give a big shout out because on top of being athletes, y'all also have side businesses.
Yeah.
Am I right? Right. Okay. So we
Yes,
got
sir.
Charo
You're
Brothers
right.
Detailing, which is ran and owned by Mr. Jordan and Oscar. All right.
Yep.
Simple Wash, the full detailing. They'll get your car, truck, and SUV looking right. And then we have Lens of Grace, which is yours, right, Miss Raeann?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
Capturing God's creation in every shot. Reach out to Ray to book your next photo session. And please forgive Charo Ministries. Or
Yes.
is
Yes,
the
that's right.
I there on purpose?
Yeah, it's
Right.
there on purpose. We wanted
Okay.
to make it different.
Okay, that's where I was just kind of like, okay, man, did I botch this? Or okay. Charo Ministries, a missionary ministry with a vision to change lives worldwide with the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Yep, that's
Yep.
So I really appreciate your mom reaching out and giving me this opportunity. It's a lot of it's also me testing it out. So I really, that's all I was like, let me get some small businesses. It'd be fun for them and so I
No,
really
that's
appreciate it.
awesome.
And for the fact that y'all are doing this stuff aside from being athletes, that's pretty cool. I like it.
No, we
Yeah.
appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
We appreciate you a lot, man. Thank you for having us on your podcast. And, we never thought we would see the day where we would ever be on one.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate
camera.
the opportunity, man. We really do.
No, thank y'all for taking it. It's really my pleasure, and just to let people see that what comes out of Cotulla. So
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
I love
yes.
it. I enjoy it.
Yep.
There's any last comments?
One last thing, before I forget, before my parents get upset with us, it does pay to run. So
Yep.
work your tail off because it does pay to run. It's all worth it in the end. Yes, it's hard. It's really hard. You have to have a strong mindset, a strong mental game. But at the end of the day, it all pays off. It really does pay to run.
Well, thank y'all again. I really appreciate y'all joining me, sharing your stories, just sharing your faith, your grit, the work
Yes.
that it took. We look forward to your many more accomplishments in the future, not just in sports but in life as well. Mr. Jordan, we're excited to see what you're going to bring to Cotulla next, and we look forward to your accomplishments and your accolades and milestones. And again, just keep sharing what you can with me. And again, I'll put it out. I mean, I really enjoy seeing what you all accomplish and what you're going to accomplish going into your final season, your next season, and your first season. So
Yep.
Yeah.
good luck to all of y'all, and I look
Thank
forward to hearing you
Appreciate it.
back. Thank you guys.
Yes, God bless
Thank
you
you.
all. Thank you.
All right, so now for my closing, what a episode. Again, I enjoy all our guests and just learning all the talent and hard work that it takes in order to get to these moments in time and to the level that they're at. Thank you to Aaliyah, Raeann, Oscar, and Jordan. I really appreciate them coming on. Just for kind of closing, I have a couple of announcements to make as far as Cotulla Sports Association. Also got our music. Right now CSA is opening up. We opened up our fall registration. If you want to sign up your athlete, we have currently open flag football for first and second graders, tackle football for third through sixth, volleyball first through sixth grade, and we will be opening up cheer soon. We're just waiting to have our meeting. Once that goes on, you'll see it on Facebook. You'll see the post, and you'll be able to sign up your cheerleader. With this going on, we also have our opportunity for our businesses to look into sponsoring a program. If you'd like to support our Cotulla Sports Association fall programs or teams, and also Beyond the Game podcast, please reach out to me. You can reach me at msanchez@cotullasports.com, or you can message us on Facebook or Instagram. And one last thing, we'd like for you to catch up on our past episodes. They are on Spotify. You can find them on YouTube as well as Facebook, just so you can catch up and kind of see who we've had on. We've had a pleasure of meeting a lot of fantastic students, student athletes, local legends, past legends that have all walked out, from Cotulla. So we really appreciate y'all. And, again, to the Charo family, being on, talking about the finishing their races, to hopefully we get a couple buzzer beaters from Mr. Jordan. They were had their small town workouts, now to Division I competition. The Charo family is proof that faith, consistency, and love can carry you far. Aaliyah, Raeann, Oscar, and Jordan, thank you for sharing your story and showing us what Cotulla grit really looks like. And to the listeners, please don't forget to subscribe and follow and share this podcast with someone who needs a reminder that greatness can come from anywhere, especially here. Lastly, this is Beyond the Game, Cotulla Backroads and Ball Games, where the past meets the present and the game becomes a legacy. We thank you, everybody.